You got to help me with this, little sister. If I don't cut it off, I'm gonna put it upside down.
You want to turn it off?
Turn it off. Because you be getting them calls, news breaks, spam and all. Yeah.
Hey, Miss Rudd.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Good.
Good. Everybody with us?
We're waiting on Dr. Knight,
Okay.
but all the commissioners are here.
What?
Everybody except you.
Everybody but you, Doc.
And we want your president next meeting.
Oh, I'm here. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Everybody's well?
All is well.
Boy,
Wonderful. Wonderful. We have a little bit less than 6 minutes before we start.
Good evening, everyone.
good evening, Dr. Knight.
Hello. How are you?
It's fine here.
Excellent. Excellent. Why is it so quiet? Is everybody tired?
Sleeping.
Sleeping? My goodness gracious.
You have a full house, Mayor.
Hello, everybody. Hope that everybody's doing well. If not, Mayor Pro Tem got plenty of money to give you.
Have a plan to go around.
Get started in a little bit over 2 minutes.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Not bad, not bad.
Good.
might have one more person from Stewart joining, Stephen Favor, who's our landscape architect.
Okay. The more the merrier.
You awfully married tonight. Oh, not the way.
Jessica, you gotta allow me to share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. The meeting of the Town of Princeville Board of Commissioners will now be called to order on this Monday, May 16th, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. We ask everyone to please mute your phones unless you're speaking. Please mute your phone unless you're speaking. But I ask Minister Jones to please lead us in an invocation.
Let us pray. Most gracious, all wise, and eternal God, again, we come before your divine presence. Again, God, we always pray that another 30 days have passed. And God, you kept us by your grace and mercy, not that we've dotted every I or crossed every T, but God, we're here because of your goodness and grace towards us. Now, God, as we come to you asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting, help us engage in meaningful discussions.
Yes.
Help us to make wise decisions. And then, God, allow us as a group to nurture the bonds of this community. For we know, God, without you, we're nothing. But with you, all things are possible. We ask that you bless the citizens that are present, bless the ones that are attending virtually. And then, God, lead us and guide us in this meeting. And God, we'll dare not take any credit, but we'll give all glory, honor, and praise to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner Jones.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing? And again, we're talking about the 53-acre concept plan.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we open the public hearing for the 53-acre concept plan. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Public hearing is now open.
And Mayor, we have no public hearing comments.
Okay. Anybody on the line would like to speak on the 53-acre concept plan? Do we need to let Jake go through this now? Is this on the agenda? I don't see it anywhere on the agenda.
It's included, Mayor, with the public hearing, his presentation.
Okay. Okay. Stuart, it's on you.
Okay, great. Thank you. My name is Jake Petrowski with Stewart. I also have Stephen Faber here as well, who is one of our landscape architects that's been helping out and thinking about the 53 acres a little bit. I have a short presentation that hopefully will cover things we talked about last meeting, and then also introduce some recommendations and a revised concept plan for the 53 acres. So I'll go ahead and get started on that. Just to remind everybody where the 53 acres is, this is a map from your comprehensive plan. This shows the 53 acres that's located down on 64, access via Shiloh Farm Road, and then also Main Street, and kind of on the southern end of Southern Terrace. And it also shows the 88 acres there, just so you can see those two things. The 53 acres is in the mixed use area. So you see a variety of uses there, non-residential and some residential as well. So the original plan from SNME for the 53 acres was done a number of years ago. And it was done prior to the acquisition of the 88 acres. The original plan proposed a mix of residential uses, single-family townhomes and apartments, and also proposed some commercial and municipal sites. The direction from council that we received, really part of the comp plan and its follow-up, is to reevaluate the 53 acres due to recent acquisition of the 88 acres. And answer the question, is there a potential to increase commercial on the 53 acres and allow for more residential, single-family residential, specifically on 88 acres? So that was our charge. We did develop 3 concept plans, or the first one is just the SNME site plan. We looked at a concept with maximum commercial and then about more of a balance. And then at our last meeting, with the board, it was recommended that we kind of combine B and C a little bit, different aspects of those, and that's what we did. So I'll just give everybody an overview on the options here. A is that original plan. The original plan was trying to integrate a lot of residential in the 53 acres because that was kind of the vision is a little bit of everything: commercial, municipal uses, and residential. But again, that was prior to the acquisition of 88 acres. Now, since this is an opportunity to increase commercial tax base, we want to kind of see if we can put more non-residential down here. And that's what we're doing in some of the other concepts. The option B was kind of maximizing commercial on the east side, and then also on the south side, with the municipal uses kind of centered in the middle. And this is an apartment site that remains the same in each of the concepts. Option C was kind of a blend of the commercial and some residential uses. And we were told, see if we could combine the two. And this is kind of the option D that we've come up with. So a couple things that I'll point out. We are trying to maximize commercial on the east end, with the apartment site remaining the same. Pod D is a municipal site. This would be the operations center and yard. And then F2, pod F2 could be the town center annex. And then we have some residential uses we put back in the middle. And then we have mostly commercial uses down towards South Main. I will point out that there is a portion of this pod I striped. Future study is needed to determine exactly where the location of the community center shelter could go, and whether we wanted to put that on the 53 acres or if there was a better place for it on the 88 acres. So that's why you see when you go to acres of commercial, there's a range, 13.9 to 15. On the low end, 13.9 is if you do include about a 1 acre site for a community center and shelter or multi-purpose gym somewhere in this area. But if you don't, then that could go to commercial or office or something else. So that's kind of the revised concept there, and I can come back to that. Just to kind of point out some of the things that we tried to integrate is thinking about different types of residential, where that could go. The apartments could go up here on pod B. Single family could be in these two areas here, or you could integrate duplexes. And then townhomes here in the middle. We were asked about senior housing, and if there was an opportunity to integrate senior housing in the site in some form. There's really 3 options for that. One would be as part of the apartments, if a portion of these could be ground floor garden apartments. Another option would be in these areas where the duplexes are sited. This picture here is a picture of a duet. So basically like a duplex, but single story duplex that is in a retirement community that, you know, would be very, very good for seniors. And then, you know, over here on Pod H and I are probably the least attractive commercial sites. So, you know, thinking about office or some kind of flex space makes sense. But also if there was a retirement home use or something like that, that could go there and take advantage of that. So that's a quasi-commercial use that could be entertained down the line. But that's kind of the option. A couple additional edits that we're recommending to be looked at further, and we could convey this to the Wooten Company. One is if we have commercial in Pod A and Pod C, we might not need this section of a secondary road. That could be removed and just use internal circulation here. And that would actually add a little bit to the developable area and also reduce costs and that sort of thing for the infrastructure. So that is something that could be looked into. C, if you do that, then you want to make the through movement of this road kind of east to west instead of kind of north to south. So that C is an option for you know, potentially looking at a roundabout or some kind of adjustment to the through movement. And then B, you could also consider removal of this secondary road between Pod I and the stormwater area. And that would also cut down on some cost. You might want to still thread a greenway or trail through here to keep the connectivity, but you might not need it if that's going to go to kind of municipal or commercial use. Originally, on the original concept, if you remember, that was envisioned to be townhomes or single family homes, and it would need to be loaded by both sides. So that's why that original road was drawn. So those are some minor edits. And then C, you know, you want to consider that through movement and maybe incorporate a roundabout to provide access to Pod A. So that's the kind of the overview of option D. The changes, again, we started with the option B, which is the maximum commercial. We revised the operations and town hall annex site. We integrated more residential on the interior of the property, which could be single family homes or duplexes and some townhomes. And then we striped a portion of the southern commercial property as a potential community center. You know, that community center could be located on the 88 acres instead if there's demand for other uses, especially if we could use that for commercial or office. And this just kind of compares different options, A, B, C, and D, and what percentage of the site is devoted to commercial, municipal, residential, and parks and open space. The main thing that I wanted to point out is on the commercial side, option D, we're trying to maximize that. So that's, you know, one of the second highest, kind of between B and C. So that's that. Another thing that we were asked about at our last meeting was the potential for greenways, sidewalks through the site and connections off site. I did pull this from the comprehensive plan. This does show some of the some options and potential for some trails, on-road greenways and off-road greenways. Again, the 53 acres is down here. And in that map, we are showing a connection to the 53 acres and back to historic Princeville, and then also to Southern Terrace and through the site. So that would be something that we need to consider kind of moving forward. And yeah, so that's kind of the gist of it. I think I'd like to, you know, go back to the option and hear what you all have to say, and then we can kind of talk about next steps. Which is basically, you know, getting a little bit more detail and calculating number of housing units and lots and commercial square footage to use for marketing purposes, conveying to the Wooten Company any changes of the concept so they can make any changes to the detailed design of roads and stormwater. And then future, you know, just some things to think about in the future. Future planning for the 88 acres is needed and help decide on the location of the community center. And then also future design work associated with individual pieces of this and municipal uses and park uses coordination with the housing authority on the apartment design and plan, and then considered any adjustments to the concept plan as needed based on market demand. So I'll go back to the concept here, and that's pretty much my presentation. And now we just fit again any questions and any discussion you all want to have.
Citizens, any comments, questions, concerns?
Yes, sir. This is Commissioner Bullock, and I am.
Hold on, Commissioner, let the citizens go first. This is public
I'm sorry,
comment.
I didn't hear.
Go, and then we come behind it.
I apologize.
Not a problem. And it's citizens' comments. Okay, if you think of anything later on, please feel free to chime in. Okay, Commissioner Bullock, it's on you.
Yes, I just wanted to express my gratitude and elation, excitement of the 53 acres as well as the 88. We're getting closer than you can imagine. I'm going to be presenting something later on, Dr. Knight, to the board to get that approval, because we have a tremendous amount of resources waiting to come and talk to Princeville. And I'm bringing that. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioner? What are your thoughts about the change? We went and we combined both B and C. Now we have option D. Do you like D better than B and or C?
Yes, I think we included, you were able to include pretty much everything that we talked about in the last meeting to combine those two. So I'm pretty satisfied with it.
And when we talk about the community center and shelter and gym, could that be one and the same?
That's what we were envisioning. Yeah, I think that we were thinking of two things: the town hall annex, which could include some offices and that sort of thing, but then community center, gym, and there's a lot of different opportunities to arrange those things. They could be separate, or they could be considered together, and just. I think there's a couple different options that it could fit here or also on the 88 acres, but more could certainly be looked into that when needed.
Excellent. And we also taking into consideration 64 changing to Interstate 87 when we talk about commercial development on the 53. Because I know last time we were a little bit skeptical about the number of people that may want to develop on the 53. I'm thinking that was maybe now, but in the future when it's I-87, there may be more interest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity. I think and I mentioned this during my presentation, I think the commercial properties on the east side are certainly the most attractive because they will have kind of direct access to that interstate. And these ones on South Main are also attractive, but the interior ones are not as attractive. That's where I think that it would be a good place to consider, some flex space or some office uses, and potentially other things that kind of have a non-residential benefit for the tax base, something like a retirement facility or something like that. So just be flexible there for a variety of uses. But that's just kind of our thoughts when we were putting this together.
Okay. When you say flex space, is that similar to a shell building?
Yeah, that's right. So the interior could be customized in a flexible manner for whatever tenant that wants to come in and occupy that space.
Okay, because that is one of our goals, to make sure that we have everything within the city limits that we need. We should not have to go outside of the city limits for anything. That's our ultimate goal. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll just bring this up real quick, y'all. This is kind of a work in progress, but you can kind of see Stephen has done some work just trying to fit in some commercial buildings on here. And you can see down here, some of the commercial buildings could be, cut up into, this could be a shell building that could be cut up into different offices, or one of these buildings over here too. So this is a work in progress, but I did want to show that we're thinking about kind of the buildings and what could go where, and one of those could be a shell building for sure.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yes, I got a question. The property of Southern Terrace as adjourning to the 53 acres, are there any plans on how we're going to cosmetically tie that in? Because there's some serious work that needs to be taken in consideration on how we're going to merge those two properties together. Are there any plans? I'm sure there is, but
I think a lot of that would probably come during the next level of design of the of Pod D and Pod B, where the operations yard would go, and then the apartment area as well. And I think that the design of those should kind of take into account that edge of the existing residential neighborhood. And either preserve trees or do a planted buffer or something like that. But also the connection itself. I think that we, in the comprehensive plan, we did show a pedestrian connection to Southern Terrace, and potentially through Southern Terrace. I think that looking at grants to extend it, not just kind of make that connection, but also do some improvements in there would be ideal. But at least thinking about that connection and making sure that that's kind of a strong connection, and that edge is kind of done in a sensitive manner.
It's a great question, Commissioner Bullock, because in the charrettes that came out, in addition to historic Princeville connection to the 53, as well as the not the 88, because we didn't have the 88 at that time, but the 53. Anyone else?
any
Hearing none,
plan?
is a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we close the public hearing. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we accept the option D that was presented.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve option D. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stuart, for a great job. We appreciate you.
No problem.
Okay.
We'll be working with Dr. Knight to kind of convey this to the Wooten Company, and kind of move forward, and look forward to collaborating on things in the future.
Excellent. Same here. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mayor. The first public comment is from Marquetta Dickens.
Hello, everybody. Board, citizens, I'm just here to reintroduce myself. Most of you know me. I'm from this community. My family has been in this community since the early 1900s, starting with my great-grandmother, Maggie Perkins, who is buried over in Wilson Cemetery. I just came here to reintroduce myself because most people here know me because of my athletic ability, and you don't know really much outside of that. So let me just quickly give you the things that I've done since I've left my community. I have graduated with the undergraduate degree in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. with also business. I have a master's degree in education, where I was top of my class as one of the highest GPAs and received numerous honors from that. I have went on to be a psychotherapist where I worked in private practice for 3 years, working with a number of different individuals from the age of 3 all the way up to elders, from ADHD to people with personality disorder, narcissistic disorder, all types of different things. And so I also have been a collegiate coach for over the past 12 years at the NCAA level, where I've also recently became the chair of a national committee called the Minority Interest and Opportunity Committee. I'm also a developer where I have closed on commercial and residential property. And so all of those things I am bringing back to my community. I have moved back into Princeville as a recently acquiring family land. And so whereas most of the time when I moved away from here, I promised that I'll never come back, I'm doing the opposite. And I'm trying my best to bring young people like myself who have the skills, the talents, and abilities back to their communities. Because so far, what I've seen is people have a passion for Princeville that dies out because they're not from here. When you see that this community has been, we talk about trouble bringing in commercial real estate and things like that, I don't see where there should be an issue. As much cultural competence and cultural relevance that we have, if we learn how to utilize those things, we are just as rich as anybody in this world. So my advocacy started in 2016. Mayor Jones, Ms. Joyner, as you see, I haven't changed. What I've said I was going to do, I'm still here doing. I intentionally moved back to North Carolina from New Jersey to do this work. And so no matter what I got to do, I'm going to do it. No matter what stands in my way, I'm going to do it. That is who I am. That is how I was raised. And I look forward to continuing to work with this community, especially the board, to get to know, a little bit more about myself. I have created a CDC, which is a Community Development Corporation. So for those who don't know what that is and why we intentionally and strategic chose to self-identify as a community development corporation, here's why. Community Development Corporation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that are created to support and revitalize communities, especially those that have been impoverished and struggling. CDCs often deal with development of affordable housing. They can also be involved in a wide range of community services that meet local needs, such as education, job training, healthcare, commercial development, and social programs. And that's exactly what we're here doing. And so in a little bit, you'll hear a little bit more from Turquoise, who's our historical culture director, historical culture and preservation director, about some of the programs, and one of the programs in particular that we've started here in Princeville. So I look forward to working with you all, Board of Commissioners. I always have. This is why our CDC was put in place, because like I always said, I admire the work that you do for nothing. I understand that you get paid very, very little, and you have other things that you have to do, and so your job is really at the disposal and expense of other people. And so I'm adding our nonprofit as a group of people that you all can rely on as a Board of Commissioners to get things done within this community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dickens. You said a lot there. One of the things that stuck out to me was when you left, you had no intention of returning. I had the same idea. Stayed gone for 18 years, been back probably about 25 years. Glad to be back, glad to serve. Thank you for your service.
Next public comment is from Robert Andrews.
Okay.
You wanna wait? Okay.
Yep.
Next comment is from Tracy Knight.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tracy Knight, and I'm here. I opened a restaurant over here in Princeville. It's called Tracy's Soul Food, and I'm here because I feel like I know this community need a restaurant here in the area. We got a lot of older people that want to cook, they can't cook, and the cooking is my passion, and so I feel like I'm a great ability here for the neighborhood and the community. And I've been having a little hard time as far as like continue on keeping the business open. And so I'm just here like just asking for a little help as far as like keeping the business open over here, because I'm sure we don't want to see the restaurant go down. And as far as like there's like it's the restaurant that never make it. I'm not gonna be that one. I put a whole lot of hard time and soul and passion into what I'm doing, and I really like serving the community. And so I'm just here for it to just make sure that we keep the community going. So thank you.
And thank you for what you do, Ms. Knight.
Thank you, young.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Knight.
Any others?
Next public comment is from Josephine Bridges.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Josephine Bridges. Tracy Knight is my niece. And I was born in Charborough, and I, I'm here to support her, her restaurant, Tracy Restaurant. And she needs about 5 people to help keep it afloat. Right now, this restaurant is in danger of closing. And I would like to say, I researched some of the history of Princeville, and I found that Princeville is rich in the history, but due to her low traffic, people don't support her. So I decided to research Princeville and found that it's the first black town that was incorporated by African Americans in the United States. It was established by free slaves after the Civil War. It would be a loss for this enriched town to lose its only restaurant in Princeville. It's the only restaurant in Princeville. So she needs support. She needs allocation. She needs funds to keep it afloat. And I live here. I grew up in Princeville, but I didn't know nothing about the history. I didn't know it was the first black town. I just did that because I'm an author. I write books. So I found that when my cousin said, Josephine, check into the history of Princeville. And I did that. And also I submitted something on the Rocky Mount paper about Princeville to help her. Maybe people can donate food or bring some chicken or do whatever. She need to keep it afloat. For to be the only black town, it'd be a loss for this person to lose her restaurant. So I was shocked. It's shocking to me and disturbing that you don't have but one restaurant, and this restaurant is in danger of closing. It really is. But so she needs trays, she needs chicken, she needs anything you can allocate funds to go towards her business to keep it afloat. That would be appreciated. And I'm just a person trying to get it started because I would hate to see this town enriched in culture of black culture to lose its only restaurant. And I live in Rocky Mountain. I come here and support, and I told other people to come and support this business because she's trying, and she's the only one doing all the cooking. She cook, she the waitress, she needs somebody to be a servant, she needs somebody to be a cashier, she needs different things, but she haven't got it. So I came here from Rocky Mountain to support my niece and make sure that you understand that people looking, because this town was incorporated, they fought so hard during the slavery to keep this town afloat, and now you let one restaurant. I can't understand why it's just one restaurant in Princeville anyway. It's just kind of like we in Rocky Mount got a lot of, but one restaurant and the traffic is not going to help to keep this business afloat. It to me is just crazy, but but like I said, I'm an author of a couple of books, and I keep it going. I'm still working. I'm 69 years old, but my passion is like I don't let people tell me no. I keep on until I get it done. You know. So I went back to school and completed and got I'm a medical assistant, and I work with asthmatic kids, and I keep everything moving. But for this person to lose her restaurant because she got the passion, and I know she can cook real good. So it's just like she's trying. So some of the funds that you have for other things, allocate a little funds for her to pay her people so she can keep people. Because right now she can't keep nobody. She can't afford to pay. I know the first couple of years when you get in the business, like 5 years, you don't make no profit. But allocate some of that fund to go to Tracy Restaurant to keep it afloat. You know, I tell people in Rocky Mountain, they come from Rocky Mountain, but the people in Princeville do not support her like they should. They'll go right across town and they got a restaurant right down the street. You know, we got to learn to start supporting each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bridges. Anyone else?
The last public comment is from Calvin Atkins.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Board of Commissioners.
Stephen.
Good evening.
As most of you all know is in the room that I am a reporter. Been reporting on Princeville for maybe 25 or more years. And I decided not to report on Princeville anymore for the newspaper. Reason being, majority of my reporting has been negative news. It bothers me when I report negative news about Princeville. Right now, I'm a part-time writer, so I don't do as much. But the last few meetings that I've been to, it really has been kind of bad. And I really, after all this enthusiasm that I've heard today, tonight, I really didn't want to bring this out. I started to just throw this away and come back another day. But after that reporter and me saying, I got to speak it out. Now, one reason why journalists are important is because the citizens, they can't attend these meetings. And even if they attend, they can't comprehend a lot of things that happen. So it's important to have the journalists inside to help out and to keep the commissioners, the government official intact. So these are some of the things that I've came across over the last few meetings. One of the first things, choosing a new planning board. It was brought to you all attention last meeting that you want a brand new planning board, getting rid of 3 experienced planning board members. Now, we are not getting paid, and if you all don't choose me to come back, I will be okay with that. But the thing is, the planning board is the second most important board in town. Why would you get rid of 3 experienced planning board members instead of reappointing them? I mean, would it make any sense? And then the 4th one, if I'm not mistaken, her term should be coming up soon. So what you actually have is 4 or 5 brand new planning board members that don't know the policies and procedures about planning. Okay, the next one, the mobile homes on First Street. The planning board didn't have anything to do with that. Mobile homes are not allowed in Princeville, unfortunately. We've been talking about this for 10 years. When I say we, I'm talking about Princeville, because at once upon a time, I used to work here. We've been talking about it, and one of the suggestions that the planning board had made was to allow double wide mobile homes to be allowed in Princeville. It never happened for whatever reason. And it's keep round on coming up. People need places to stay, and they want planning board, they want mobile homes. We, as the planning board, came up with a suggestion at one time, but it never came through. But there was two mobile homes placed on First Street, and again, that was without the planning board's direction. It just went through. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and if somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it was said that the town didn't know anything about that. Well, look at the last 2 sheets that I gave you all. Look at the last 2 sheets. Someone signed that from the town. And you remember just the last meeting, you had a town attorney saying pretty much saying we're going to do something about it was pretty much saying that it could be a way where they going to um, kick the people off the land. Of course, Mayor Jones bucked against that, but you got someone sign that paper, okay? I'm gonna try not to hold you too much longer. Okay, you had several illegal meetings. The first illegal meeting, I actually spoke out of turns. I said, hey, I suggested that you all not to have that meeting on that particular day. Well, you all had it anyway. And on that particular meeting was a special call meeting. And if you look at this where I got illegal meeting number one, you can see where the general statute say you have to have 48 hours. Well, you didn't have 48 hours. And that's the same meeting where Commissioner Bullock was elected. But guess what? That was a legal meeting. Guess what? Officially, Commissioner Bullock has not been sworn in. Every action that he takes is really illegal. And it could at one point or another, if somebody wants to sue, they could do that. My suggestion is to call that meeting and do it right. And then you came back on April the 5th, you had another, you acted in against another law in a meeting. The meeting was legal on April the 5th, but you did a legal action on it. And you see that's saying legal meeting number two. Now what happened there, you actually called a special meeting. Well, during a special meeting, anything that you write that you have to do during a special meeting, that's all you could do. But you all added another issue up there and you actually voted on it. That's wrong. And that's all I'm gonna give right now. There's a lot of stuff that I can say, but I don't want anything against the town. I want the town to survive. And what we have to do now, with all this good stuff going on, we got to do what's right. It's easy to sit back and watch and criticize and all that stuff. But see, I'm on the side of you all doing what's right, not from one through from A to Z. Okay, and if I can help you all out in any way, please let me know.
Mr. Atkins, go ahead and explain the other ones you got up here, please.
Need to request more time.
Well, I looked at the graveyard, and the most important part of the graveyard is Wilson Cemetery, and for some reason, it has not been cut. The other one has been cut. And speaking of that, I'll go a little bit further. This board got rid of some very expensive lawnmowers, and they bought some more expensive lawnmowers. Well, with those brand new lawnmowers, now let me go back. The ones that they got rid of, they auctioned them off for pennies, you might as well say. They auction them off wrong because you don't do a blind auction. You set a price and then you go from there. Well, they got it for pennies per se. So now you got brand new lawnmowers going out there cutting grass in the cemetery, and because you Commissioner Mary and Mayor Jones, you know what happened when we cut the grass out there. We hit in bricks, stumps, and everything else. And then they got to go out and cut this grass in Princeville. But you pretty much gave away some lawnmowers. So there's a lot of things, like I said, I could say. But I'm not here. I hate to be the bearer of bad news right now. But if you don't do anything else or act on anything else, my suggestion is act on the thing with Commissioner Bullock. Because if you don't, if somebody wants to sue something, someone or something like that, they could do that. Thank you. I apologize for
Okay.
taking too much time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins. Any more public comments?
No, that was the last one.
Okay, you see the announcements listed. Don't forget the spotlight ad deadline is extended to June 24th. Want to put anything in the magazine, please get that to the town hall as soon as possible. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Mayor, before you proceed, I'd like to add an announcement. We are under a thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock p.m. And so I'd like to give instructions to this body that in the event of an emergency and we have to relocate from this setting, we would use this door right here and we will align in the hallway for protection in the event that we have to evacuate this area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, I do have an adjustment to the agenda. I would humbly ask if we could remove number 4 from the town manager's report, 88 acres. And if we could move that under presentation number 2. It was removed, not thinking that someone from OSBM would be present, but Attorney Derwin Jones is present for that presentation. So if we can put that back for number 2, 88 acres.
And that would be under where?
Under presentation. Yes, sir.
So you're gonna move, what is it, Cope?
88 acres under town manager's report number 4. And if we could relocate that under presentation number 2.
So you're gonna move that before Cope?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we relocate 88 acres from the town manager's report to number 2 under presentations. Are there questions? All in favor, use voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any additional adjustments?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to add a number 4 under old business regarding the waiver for the senior citizen van.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we add number 4 under old business waiver. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Any additional adjustments? Is there a motion to approve the agenda with the necessary changes?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the agenda with the necessary changes. Are there correct? Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Now we're at presentations. First of all, we have the planning board.
Mayor, in your absence, we have yielded to Mayor Pro Tem to acknowledge the planning board members who have provided diligent work over the years. I would like to first of all thank those citizens who served on the planning board for the years they did, doing an outstanding job. And the question has been why we replaced them. I think it's very important that you give every citizen the opportunity, not every citizen, but many citizens as possible opportunity to serve in certain positions. It certainly was not with any intent or ill malice that we are asking that other citizens be utilized in these positions. We have been utilizing the same citizens, and we would like to give other citizens the opportunity. While we say that they are not trained, that's why we offer training. And I think the ones that we offer the training to are very capable. that they have the ability to handle the business of the town. They have the ability to learn the ordinances, just as all of us that are in positions like this. So we wanted to thank you in a way by presenting you with certificates. If you are, I'll follow the names, and if you would come forward, the former or the current planning board members. I have Ms. Linda Worsley, Ms. Darstine Wiggins, Mr. Kelvin Atkins, and Ms. Dolores Porter. Again, we just want to say to you, thank you for your years of service. Thank you for doing outstanding jobs. We hope that you will continue to serve the community, even though you're not the main planning committee. We do value your input. We do value your service, and we thank you so much. Thank you.
Let me just echo what the Mayor Pro Tem has said. We thank you for your service. Most of you have been on the board since I've been in office, and tomorrow I may be running for my third term. I am running for my third term. The citizens see fit, I'll be back working on year 12. So I thank you again for your service. Keep doing what you do to support the town of Princeville, because great things are on the horizon. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda, we have the 88 acres.
Hey, Mayor. Comment?
Yes. Okay.
Thank y'all for the applause. However, Mayor, when did we vote on this? We talked about it, but we did not make an official vote that we were going to dismiss our planning board committee. It's just in the minutes.
We're just following the ordinance. The ordinance says you have to replace them every
We did not vote on it, Mayor.
Huh?
We did not vote on it. We
You don't have to vote
discussed
on
it.
You following the ordinance. You following
That
the ordinance.
ordinance, where did that ordinance come from?
From the town?
The town. I need to see it again. We did not vote on this. We discussed it, but we did not vote on it.
You don't have to vote on your ordinance. It's already in place.
That particular one, Mayor, we still talked about whether we wanted to replace them at that time. Regardless whether we have an ordinance in place, but we did not formally go to the fullness on this ordinance where that is stipulated at. I think we need to view that. We'll talk about it in closed session.
Can't talk about that in closed session. It's not personnel.
Well, we're going to add it.
You cannot talk about stuff like this in closed session. You can talk about it now.
All right, we'll get back to it. Since we got some visitors.
Okay. 88 acres.
Mayor Jones, we have from the Office of State Budget Management, Attorney Derwin Jones, to present to the mayor, the Board of Commissioners, and the citizens their proposal for the 88 acres.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and the residents of Princeville. I don't know whether you've gotten a copy of the proposal, which is a proposed resolution and a framework to start a phase 1 development of the 88 acres for 25 residential lots on about 8 to 10 acres on that. If I may approach, I have extra copies if you need them. Do you need copies?
We made sure that the board had copies.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
I have my copies.
By way of background, my name is Derwin Jones. I'm the Deputy Director and General Counsel for the Governor's Office of State Budget and Management, Disaster Recovery Section. The Disaster Recovery Section was set up in 2018 in the Governor's Office primarily to assist the Department of Public Safety in the distribution of state Hurricane Matthew disaster funds. Since then, or when our office actually opened, Hurricane Florence hit, so our office has been pretty busy helping serve as a program manager for public safety. And since then, we've done disaster recovery in Allegheny County for earthquake recovery, as well as now Tropical Storm Fred in Hayward County, Buncombe County, and about 10 or 12 other counties that lost a lot of roads and bridges out there. So that's a little bit about our background in terms of our office and why we were set up to serve North Carolina and the communities impacted by natural disasters. What our office has also been tasked to do by the General Assembly is to oversee a $6 million grant that was appropriated to the town of Princeville in 2019. And there are various disaster recovery projects that we've been working with Dr. Knight on. And what we are coming to the town today is we've secured a minimum of $2.1 million to start the development of residential housing on the 80-acre site. What you have, or what the commissioners and the mayor have and the town manager have, is a draft resolution that establishes a partnership between the state of North Carolina and Princeville for this phase one project. And it also outlines a framework in which we will try to deliver the project as quickly as possible. And the reason why we are partnering with the town is we understand that there have already been 11 buyouts under under FEMA's hazard mitigation program in the town of Princeville. And under HUD's Community Development Block Disaster Program, the mitigation program, they have offered, or they're slated to try to buy out additional properties in the town of Princeville. Now, we understand that that will have a drastic impact on the tax base of the town. And so one way to offset those buyouts that have already occurred or may occur is to start developing the 80-acre site that the town acquired in May of 2020 through the directed grant that was provided by the state. And so what our office is intending to work with the town is to start the process of procuring an engineering firm to help with the planning and the zoning and annexation that's already been accomplished by Stewart, but to actually come up with first a plan for the whole 88-acre site with the town's input, and that would just be what we would call in construction terms schematic design process, which is just an overview of what the town would like to use the 88 acres for. And out of a subset of that, 25 acres, 25 lots on about 10 acres of the 88 acres would be devoted to phase one residential site, which we will develop 25 building lots for single family housing. The priority there would be having the design firm come up with full construction documents to install the infrastructure required to support the 25 lots, as well as be able to connect to the remaining sewer system once the remaining 78 acres are also developed. So part of that would be a two-stage process. You'd have one master plan for the 80 acres that the town would give its input with the engineering firm that's procured between the town and state partnership. And then from that, we would develop full construction documents for the infrastructure on that phase 125 lot subdivision. And during the process, we'd also work with the town in terms of the subdivision process, architectural requirements for the subdivision, and or working with Princeville Housing Authority in terms of once the lots are there, how do you start building houses? If there's available funding that remains after the infrastructure, then what we would try to do is build 2 houses that could be sold to disaster impacted families for the town of Princeville. So that's kind of a big picture of what the proposed framework is trying to establish. And so if you have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Attorney Jones. Any questions from the board?
No, I don't have any at this time.
I have a few. Attorney Jones, we are certainly very appreciative of what you all are doing for the town of Princeville and our citizens. Is there a possibility? I see that we have a possibility of 150 units?
Well, you could probably place, depending on how the housing density that the town desires and whether, as was presented by Stewart on the 53 acres, whether you're going to move apartments or duplexes or townhomes to the 80-acre site, you can get 150 to 200 units. It really depends on what ultimately the town desires and whether you can get builders to build it and get financing from the Housing Finance Authority or other sources. This particular project will focus on 25 single-family home lots.
Okay. And all of them are the same floor design?
Well, that is going to be part of the process in which we work with the town in terms of how the town wants to, if you're doing like a planned housing development, or a homeowners association would have architectural standards and guidelines in which would state what types of houses can be built there, like 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whether you're going to allow 2-bedroom, whether you're going to allow modular construction or single family or stick-built construction. Listening to the town's ordinance, I don't think we are trying to do mobile homes or manufactured housing on that site. So it would be single family homes or modular homes, which are just as good as stick-built homes. They're just built in factory.
And I was just looking at the picture on your drawing, on your PowerPoint.
Yes.
And of course, they would not all be the same, right?
The picture that's on that slide that you have, or PowerPoint slide that we sent you earlier, that is a home that we've constructed elsewhere in North Carolina. We engaged a North Carolina design firm, and we have a catalog of about 20 homes that we built for any disasters, and that's using state funding. Now, with this particular development, homeowners can, if they buy a lot, they can build a single-family home, and if it meets the standards that the town has set, then they would have to build in accordance with those parameters, kind of like any planned urban subdivision that you might see in other places in the state of North Carolina. So we do have a catalog of disaster housing that we allow homeowners to select, and that state will either hire contractors or use a nonprofit like Habitat for Humanity or Baptist on Mission to actually build the homes. And we've had success with both delivery methods. And also, by way of background, our office has helped work with Habitat for Humanity in Fayetteville and Wilmington to actually build 2 subdivisions, one with 47 homes and another with 27 homes, in which we've provided the funding and oversight for the infrastructure. And then the Habitat in both those areas actually built the homes. And the Fayetteville one is fully built out and placed about 19 disaster impacted families in those units, and Wilmington is about 50% complete, and they've placed, I think, 4 or 5 families there.
And we've been talking about having a development where we have low-income residents and middle-income residents in the same neighborhood without the distinction, not a wide distinction, sort of like they have over in Rocky Mount, Joyce Dickens development. Are you familiar with Joyce Dickens?
No, I'm not, sir.
Okay, what's the name of her development? Anybody?
Rocky Mount CDC.
Rocky Mount CDC. What's the name of the housing development on 64?
Thorn Acres.
Yeah.
Thornridge.
Stormy Creek.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get a chance to take a look at that and see if that's doable for us, because of course we do not want to be a part of any gentrification, but by the same token, we want to be enticing to everybody to come and be a part of Princeville.
Well, that process will be at the town's discretion in terms of how they want to build that out. Right now, this grant is focused primarily on the infrastructure. If there is funding to build 2 houses, we will make every effort to try to build 2 houses that meet the vision of the town that's set forth in its comprehensive plan. So we're not trying to do anything, or not trying to force you to accept anything. Our primary task is first to get the infrastructure so you can actually build the housing. Because there is that need to build the housing, especially with the buyouts and other disaster recovery efforts going on in the town of Princeville.
Okay, because that was my concern on the picture on the slide. You have green lots facing Highway 111 frontage, and I just saw all those green lots, and I saw the picture. I was thinking about that picture on all of those lots, and that's not what we're talking about.
No, it's not. This is just a conceptual rendering of what could be placed there. The engineering firm that would be hired to develop the plan, taking into account the overall development of the 88 acres, will kind of give you a layout of where the houses could be situated, where they would face. The reason why we suggest building on this particular section is it's closest to the public water and sewer that Edgecombe County runs and operates that we would have to tie into. And that kind
Okay.
of goes in terms of construction costs to try to shorten that distance so you can actually get more lots developed.
Okay. And as of today, this house that you have there, what's the estimated cost on that?
The cost for the houses, if we had, for example, we have Baptist on Mission and Habitat that have built homes for us, and using volunteer labor, that's usually $80,000 to about $110,000, and that was before you had the inflation on construction materials and fuel over the last couple of months. In terms of modular homes, we've just completed a modular home in Princeville. The contract price was $205,000. With inflation and adjustments, the total price on delivering that unit is about $225,000 for that modular home. Stick built, what we have been experiencing all throughout North Carolina, whether that's in the eastern part of the state or all the way up into Haywood County in the western part of the state. Prices are $235,000 up to $300,000, depending on the contractor bidding. It's a little bit more expensive if you're dealing with elevations or having to put in basements, especially up in the mountains, or having to install septic systems. So that's generally the ballpark in terms of what we've delivered and what we've been experiencing over the last 2 years since the pandemic started.
Okay. And looking into your crystal ball, when will these prices start coming down for the materials that we're spending on buying now?
The prices are fluctuating. Concrete goes up, lumber goes up, they come down. Then fuel prices, it's variable. But there's time with respect to this process. We hope to get the infrastructure designed and constructed hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years. Hopefully we can get it designed and permitted this year, and then go out with hiring a contractor to try to get it done. We are going to do it in parallel with the 53-acre subdivision. Our office is also under the directed grant overseeing the design end of the 53-acre site, so we are funding Wooten and their efforts to get that out to bid, hopefully sometime late summer, early fall. So based on their experience and their track record, it is possible to get the design done 6 to 8 months since we're dealing with relatively flat farmland, but can't speak for the environmental permitting until it actually happens.
Okay. Again, thank you so much for what you're doing. Any other questions from the board?
No, sir.
Thank you, Attorney Jones.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is COPE.
Very good. Thank you so much for giving us the time here. I'm Stephen Moisey. I'm a professor at East Carolina University, and I'm here to talk with you a bit about the Coastlines and People project that we're partnering with Princeville on, and to share some of the work that's been going on with that. So thank you very much to the board and all the citizens here for taking the time to listen to us. What we're trying to do in this project is it's a new National Science Foundation project that's focused on trying to understand how communities, the different challenges communities are facing dealing with environmental issues and climate, ranging from floods and stormwater management to septic tank issues and failures with climate change, to water quality in the rivers and what that means for fish and health of people, and all of those kinds of issues. And so with this project, we're looking at kind of where are the issues today, what will the issues be in the future that people are going to be facing as we face a changing climate in our region, and how are people going to deal with those different kinds of problems. I said this is a Coastlines and People project, so it might sound a little strange up here in Princeville we're talking about coastlines, but really we are working with communities all across the region, from here all the way through to the Outer Banks, and trying to understand the different kinds of problems that people are facing, and what those particular issues might be in different communities, and the different factors that might impact how people decide to go about solving those problems, and the different solutions we might find, learning from each other as we go through and understand the different kinds of problems that we have. One of the things that's about this project, there's certainly, from the university perspective, some science. We're working on developing sensors to put out and monitor flows in the rivers and understand people's decision-making processes and things. But most importantly, what we're really focused on is I was struck earlier, actually, with the comment about journalism, right? And when you think about journalism being an important part of doing that translation of the kind of discussion that goes on in a meeting like this, and taking that to the citizens and having people really understand some of the challenges that people have with that. And so with this project, not only do we have kind of this basic science kinds of research that we're interested in, but we're very much wanting to be working with citizens and people in terms of what's the participation of everybody in understanding these different kinds of issues. How do we translate some of those, the kinds of things people are talking about here with planning meetings, what the impacts might be on the community, on the future of the environment in the community, and really getting people engaged and involved with that. And so the approach, we've actually been talking with Mayor Pro Tem and Joyner and Dr. Knight over the last 6 months or so, thinking about how might we really be able to do that in Princeville and other communities as well. And so the approach that we're really looking at starting actually this summer is starting community science groups that can get involved in understanding and investigating some of the different problems that the different communities are facing. And with that, in our discussions, some of the things that came up was the real importance of youth development and getting youth involved in understanding some of the issues and problems in the communities. So we're actually focused on targeting kind of these programs right now over the summer into middle school and high school kinds of students, to give them the opportunity to come out and learn more about issues faced by the community. Let them kind of discover what those different kinds of problems that people think are important here are. What are some of the ways to investigate, tools people could be using to investigate those problems, and really helping them support doing that research kind of with the community here itself. Part of what we want to do is really have those science groups come back and report back to the community. So perhaps at meetings like this, where they can say, here's what we're learning, here's what we're discovering, and have people come back and say, well, these are the things we're concerned about. Could you go look at something like this problem a little bit more? And so we're really hoping through this kind of activity to have that ability of the town and the people in the town to really learn more about what's going on in the community and shape the direction of where that would go. I had mentioned one of the things we want to do is really look kind of across regions. We're working, certainly Princeville, we're really excited with all the things going on here in Princeville and all the challenges you guys are faced to be working in Princeville. We're also working in Greenville and Aurora and Nags Head and Hyde County. And so the problems are really different, as you go across these different regions. And so one of the other things we're doing is really trying to think about how do we bring people together across all these different places and think about the challenges and also kind of celebrate the great things that are going on in each of the communities so that we can learn from each other. And so we're also doing an annual kind of community event to bring people together. This particular year, this is our very first year, so we're kind of keeping it, we're doing it in Greenville to make it easiest for us, but we definitely want to invite people to come down to that event as well. So that'll be in August. To have that event for people to come and learn about all the science that's going on. But again, we want to do that continuously within each community too. But that annual event would be a chance for people to come together and learn about different places and the things that are going on. So we've been, as I said, we've been working for the last few months trying to come up with approaches and plans and ways to kind of kickstart this off, but we really want this to be driven by the questions and concerns and interests that the town is really facing. So Val Gold, who is sitting there on the end, is actually one of our staff people who's going to be running this program this summer. We're going to have interns coming and working with these student participants. We're hoping that by working with students, that's going to be a way to also engage families and get them more interested in the issues going on. And hopefully, through all of that, really be able to broaden that ability of people to think about and participate in kind of some understanding these issues and challenges in the community. So I think we really just wanted, I think, to kind of share that work that we're just starting to do. Certainly invite the opportunity for questions about it and suggestions of things that people think might be an opportunity to really enrich that kind of activity here for Princeville.
Thank you so much, Professor. What's your last name again?
Oh, pardon me, I'm sorry. One quick question, because I missed your question. So one comment, tomorrow there is a public meeting to talk more about the actual programming this summer. So that will be at 7 p.m. It will also be here at 7 p.m. And so anyone who's interested in learning more about that, we definitely encourage you to participate and come out and learn a lot more about this specific program. Thank you for the reminder to actually say that important point. And I apologize. I don't know if it was Mayor Jones. Did you have a...
That's fine. That's fine. I would love to be there tomorrow night, but I'm going to be watching the polls.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your last name again, sir?
Moisey.
You have to spell that for me.
Moysey.
Okay. Thank you for what you're doing. This is right in line with what we've been doing for a couple of years at my school. I'm also the principal at C.S. Brown High School STEM. And we've been working with professors from East Carolina, Duke University. I'm trying to think of their names right now, but Paul Baker is the professor from Duke, the U.S. Geological Survey, and they've been taking our kids out in the field, into the swamp, getting water samples, coming back into the building, analyzing the waters, also analyzing what our kids are drinking from the water fountains. That was right before the pandemic came. And then we had to shut down because they wanted our kids to go out and do exactly what you said, come back and present to the community what they're learning. Mm-hmm. And I think that's key for our students to get involved in science, of course, technology, engineering, math, because I am, again, a STEM school. But we also have working with environmental people out of UNCG. What's the name of that, Dr. Knight? What's the name of that organization out of UNCG?
Are you talking about the theater that Kelsey is working closely with?
Not the theater, but the one where Mayor Pro Tem went up to New Jersey, her and Lacey Jones.
That was UNCG that we worked with.
Right. What was the name of the program, though?
Was it the environmental?
No, that was
Fortress of Humanities. Which one?
Yes.
Fortress of Humanity was a part of, but they're talking about environmental justice.
Yeah.
That's what it is, environmental justice. And then, of course, we're working with Conservation Trust, who's focusing in on our youth as well. So anything we can do to get our youth positively engaged will assist us in getting them motivated to do something positive instead of something negative. So again, thank you so much. Any other questions for Professor Moysey?
I don't have any questions, but I would like to make a comment in regard to that. It's always interesting to me when we involve our young people in events and in learning things, especially with the way that things are going now with the science and different aspects. It's so important that they understand what's going on in Princeville, other than it floods all the time. So if we can educate them, and when they're our age, well, not necessarily mine, but some some of your other younger people age, then they'll be able to better understand how we can prevent some of the things that's happening with the flooding, and they'll be able to understand how to explain it to someone else exactly what's going on. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for our young people, and I hope our citizens take advantage of it. If you have young people, that you take advantage of this so that we can get them started to understanding. Because I promise you, if you ask some of them now, what has been happening in Princeville, what is the cause of the floods, what, they probably won't really be able to explain it to you intelligently. And Marquetta, I listened to what you said when you were there. Those are some of the areas that you are an expert in, and we appreciate that. So we want to make sure that we continue to carry that through with our younger people so that they'll be able to manage the town just as we are doing it now.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the partnership with the town for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have
Mayor,
our Mrs.
excuse me for a
Yes.
minute, Mayor. If it's permissible, Dr. Mosley brought an entire team. If it's permissible, could they introduce themselves and their role with this project?
Of course.
Sure. Do you guys want to come stand up real quickly so you can introduce yourself? And I guess I will say, I said I'm a professor at East Carolina University. I am a professor of geological sciences, so I'm a scientist, and also the director of our Water Resources Center at the university.
Hi, I'm Cindy Grace McCaskey. I've been working with Dr. Knight and some of the citizens here for a few years now. I collected oral histories about resilience a few years ago, and that resulted in the Mobile Museum exhibit that's currently unable to be shown that frequently because of the pandemic. But and so my role with this project will just be to support the programming and help to sort of be a liaison with the community. So again, I'm an anthropologist, so that's the social science side. So thanks.
Good to hear you again, Dr. McCaskey.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Val Gould. I am the Environmental Justice Community and Program Coordinator for the Water Resources Center at ECU. I have a background in education. I taught everything from 3 years old through undergrad, and recently completed a master's degree in energy and environmental policy, primarily focusing on social justice and environmental justice, which is what drew me to this position. As Dr. Moisey said, I will be supervising the interns as well as coordinating some of the outreach and program participant issues. So if you have some young people you think you might be interested, I'm really looking forward to working with them, because these kids are going to take this to places that none of us imagine possible. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alexander Stevenson, and I am a second-year master's student at ECU in the Department of Anthropology, and I work closely with Cindy Grace McCaskey on the social science aspect of the COPE project, so I look forward to talking with all of you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tara Panikek, and I'm a PhD candidate at ECU in Coastal Resource Management Program. I'm also the communications coordinator for the Water Resources Center, and I'll be helping Val with the program during the summer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we look forward to working with you all in the future. I may not see you tomorrow, but I'll see you this summer. Okay, now we're working with Ms. Stanley and Mr. Wilkins, our Princeville School Research Project. I'm excited about what they're presenting. Their proposal is, I've seen the video, and I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the board is as well.
Thank you. Good evening. Town of Princeville Board, Mayor, and citizens. My name is Sandra Stanley. I am a native of Princeville. I was born there, raised there. I went to Princeville School from grade 1 through 8, and then finished high school at Patillo, along with my partner, Leon Wilkins, who can introduce himself. But so I have a vested interest in not only this project, but in Princeville School and in Princeville. So we're real excited about this project. But before, I want to tell you about this project, but I want Leon to introduce himself first, and then I'll give an introduction to the project, and then we'll talk about the sections of the project that we worked on. Leon.
Yes, I'm Leon Wilkins. Actually, I was born in Tarboro, moved to Princeville when I was about 3 years old. My mother and father at that time moved in a bunch of houses that used to be located right along the Tar River. We moved there and I was about 3 years old, and later my father built a house himself in Princeville, where I was brought up in Princeville, went to school as Miss Stanley did from grades 1 through 8, graduated from 8th grade, went to W.A. Patillo, finished high school, obtained a certification from a diploma actually from Edgecombe Tech at the time, and drafted. Later entered into plastic technology for a short period of time. And from there, I decided I wanted to leave Princeville, and like some people, never wanted to return. I ventured off into the military, stayed in the military for 30 years. I reached the highest enlisted rank there is, which is E9 Chief Master Sergeant. After retiring from headquarters ACC at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, I was going to stay in Virginia, but decided that since Virginia wanted to tax part of my retirement and North Carolina doesn't, I decided to come back home. Instead of Princeville, I located in Greenville. So I live in Greenville right now. And I also served 14 and a half years with the Sheriff Department here in Pitt County, and 5 years with the Eastern District for the U.S. Marshals for 5 years. So that's my career, or my tenure in a nutshell per se. As Ms. Stanley, I'm very interested in this project. We have done a lot of work, and I'm hoping you all will be interested in this project and accept wholeheartedly what we're trying to preserve, which is the educational history of Princeville from 1883 to 1964. I'll hand it back to Ms. Stanley.
Thanks, Leon. First of all, I think I'll tell you why we chose those years. 1883, I'm sure you already know, is the year that Princeville School was established. And 1964 is the year that Leon and I graduated from Princeville School. We started in first grade, the first day together, Leon and I did, and we started the first day of 12th grade together. So we've been friends for a very long time. But to tell you a little bit about the project, first of all, I'm really glad that you all got a chance to look at that short video, that 3-minute video, to kind of give you an idea of what we've been working on. And what we wanted to do was, and let me tell you how this project came about. I was working on a project with Leon for Patillo High School for the alumni. And what I noticed while I was working on that project is that we know just about everything there is to know about Patillo High School. We know who the principals are, we know who the teachers are, we know who was on the basketball team, who was on the cheering squad, who was Miss Patillo High, we just know everything about it. Then I thought, we don't know very much at all about Princeville School. So I asked a couple of people, I said, who was the principal before when you were there? And everybody said Miss Matthewson. And I said, well, who before Miss Matthewson? Nobody knew. I said, do you know any teachers, anything other than the ones when we were there? Nobody knew. So I thought, this is an opportunity. No, let me change that. I didn't take this project on. It took me on. It chose me. And I asked Leon, I said, Leon, would you like for us to work together to get some history of Princeville School? Because here's the thing, Mayor and everyone, is that Princeville has a pretty well documented history. It's a historical town. But we've got this school in Princeville, in historical town. So the school is also historical. So not knowing, we want people to know this rich history. And let me tell you, when you find out some of the things that we found out about Princeville School, what I can tell you, no, what I can promise you is that you will be amazed, you will be proud, and you will be humbled by the legacy that these educators brought to Princeville. It is amazing. I cannot wait to tell you all about it. So I hope that you all don't take our word for it. I hope that you'll let us sit down with you at some point and tell you about these educators that are really, they're superheroes. Some of the stories that I learned about them and that we want to bring to the museum, which, first of all, let me say, there's no better place to have this displayed than in the Princeville School. But when you hear some of the stories and the contributions that these educators made, it is absolutely almost mind-blowing. The history that they brought with them and the history that they left in Princeville. And the thing about it is most of them, their names and their contributions have been lost and forgotten over the years, because most of the people can only name a few teachers. And some of the people, for instance, Mr. W.A. Patillo, everybody thinks about Patillo, Mr. Patillo, they think about Patillo School, of course. But Mr. Patillo taught at Princeville long before he taught at the Tarboro Colored School, which later turned into renamed as W.A. Patillo High School. So there's so much history, and not only just the principals and the teachers, but their parents that wanted and pushed for them to be educators and wanting them to come to Princeville to teach. Some of these parents were born in slavery and bought their way out of slavery. And one of the big things on their agenda, their to-do list, was to send their children to school and then make sure that these children came back and educated other young African American students and their parents, so that this legacy that they left is not just for the school, but it is for all of Princeville. So what we have found out, just to tell you in a nutshell, we have researched the principles, and there's some mind-blowing things there, Mayor. Not only that, there are some things we found out that have been totally lost. We found a couple of principles that no one knew was there, and they have a huge legacy. So we found the principles. We know their names, their biographical history, their academic credentialing, the order in which they were as principal, and their tenure when they were principal. We have all of that information. We have researched teachers. We have a lot of the Princeville school teachers. I would like to think that we have all of them, but I'm sure we don't, because a lot of that has been lost in history, particularly as it relates to the flooding in Princeville. A lot of that information was lost, not to mention that African American history was poorly preserved. So we've done a lot of digging and found out a lot of good information. Hopefully we've got most, if not all. And as a bonus, what Leon and I did was We thought about the Princeville School teachers at Princeville School. But then what we also did was we collected the names of teachers that taught in Edgecombe County, that taught African American children. So we have a huge database of um, probably over 600 names of teachers that taught in Edgecombe County, African American teachers that taught African American students. So we're real proud of that database. And I'll let Leon talk about what we did with students, but we have a huge amount of data that we would like to enter as part of the display that we're proposing that you all allow us to put in Princeville. Um, I think that you're going to be more than pleased to see the information that we have. So I want Leon to talk about the student database that we've built, and then I would like to ask a couple of questions and would love to field any questions that you all have for us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, students. First of all, we thought this thing of gathering data on students wasn't going to be an easy task, which it really wasn't. We thought that by going from either the local level all the way up to the state level, that somehow we would be able to obtain educational documents like the principal reports or whatever that would list stuff for us. However, along this road that we was traveling, we found that these reports was either misplaced, lost somewhere, damaged, or whether nobody just even kept a record of anything at all. So that made us resort to utilizing things like either digital yearbooks or hard copies of the yearbooks, going to people that are currently still existing in Princeville and in other states that we knew via telecom, via text messaging or emails to obtain information that we need, and even the census reports. Still, on top of that, we established a Facebook page in hope that we'll reach out there to some of the other people, since we were talking about the preservation of Princeville's history, that we would obtain some feedback through our Facebook page, which that didn't happen. But Mayor, you were interested because I saw you up there practically every day, tagging on to our little stuff that Sandra was putting out there, which was great. It was good to receive that interaction, really. But nevertheless, moving forward, we still needed to nail down these students that we know at some point in time either attended Princeville Graded School, Princeville Elementary School, or both at some point, like Sandra and I did. We attended both schools. Anyway, in the process, I started with what was closest to me in gathering information. And that being closest to me was my siblings and my family. My mother, first of all, who is still living in Princeville today, and some of my siblings that live in Princeville today, which was very helpful in feeding me with names of people, students rather, that actually attended Princeville Graded School and Princeville Elementary School, and that went on to graduate, and some became lawyers and people who were valuable to society. But anyway, my mom at her home, I obtained a hard copy of the yearbook from W.A. Patilla High School from 1962 to 1966. We sat at her home one day for about 4 or 5 hours with her and 3 of my other siblings, and I would bet you that they gave me about 150 names of people who attended Princeville Graded School and elementary school. But I left word with them, said, hey, It doesn't stop here. If you can think of anything else or anybody else, please feed that information to me. And that was the words that I would leave with everybody that I communicated with via text, email, or any kind of messaging to I'm open. Call me if you want to, if you got some information. And in doing so, with between the census report and between all the phone calling, emailing, and text messaging that I did, I know that we've come up with approximately 600 people that we know actually attended either one of the schools or both. But through the census information, adding on what we got from census, we got over 4,200 people that we believe attended the educational system right there within Princeville. And I assure you, we are not going to stop now because I still have information coming in daily that people come to me and say, did you know so and so attended the school? Well, now I'll be taking down names and doing this. And on the spreadsheet that Sandra's talking about, all of those who actually attended either one of those schools, they will be highlighted and an asterisk is by those individual names that's on this spreadsheet once you see it. And some of the names that you could see from the Mathesons right on down, you will see their names highlighted on there. You might even see some of your own people. Who knows? But we do not plan to stop this project right here. And we are hoping that you as the mayor, along with the town council of Princeville, will accept our project and let us move forward and bring this whole thing to fruition. I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Stanton.
Thanks, Leon. Just want to add a little bit on to what Leon said and then take any questions that you may have. But we did searches from all kinds of places in addition to what Leon named out. We did, I lived in the North Carolina Archives building for a long time. Board of Education, Tarboro Library, one-on-one interviews. Leon did most of those. Rocky Mount Library, went to UNC Library, North Carolina State, East Carolina University, just all kinds of places to get information. And we got, I think we have a lot of primary sources. We've got secondary sources, but we've got a lot of primary sources because we wanted to make sure that we have good, solid information. And what we want, Mayor, is we want to be able to put this information in, and that database that Leon is talking about, we want people to come in and look and say, well, I'm a Freeman, so let me go through the F's and see if I see somebody in there that might be related to me, or that I can go home and ask my mom or grandmother, did this Freeman, were they related to us? So we want it to be interactive. And so that leads me to a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you before you all ask us questions. First of all, I would like to know when is the restoration work expected to begin on the Princeville Museum for reopening, and how long do you think that's going to take?
I'll leave that to Dr. Knight.
So right now we are under an appeal with FEMA. So it's difficult at this time to give a time frame for the restoration of the museum.
Okay, will you keep us posted?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, at some point, we would like to talk with you all about the possibility of looking for some grant funding, because we have some beautiful photos and things and documents that we pulled from the North Carolina State Archives that would make beautiful displays. I have to tell you this one that we just got. One of the fathers of one of the principals, I found his um, where his petition, where he went to court and petitioned to buy he had bought his own freedom. And this petition is where he bought his family's freedom. And one of his children, that he was just, he purchased his own freedom. When after he bought his freedom, one of his children became the principal of Princeville School. So that's the kind of history. That's just one of the things that we found. So those kinds of things, we want to be able to put those on display. So can we at some point have a conversation with you and Dr. Knight so that we could talk about looking for some grant funding so that we can get the displays and pictures, because you hear this information, but when you actually see a picture of a person, you can look and say, oh, so this is the first principal of Princeville School. And then we're going to have it so that there's information that you can read about this person.
So let me make the suggestion that call Dr. Knight tomorrow morning and see what time she can meet with you. I know she's jam-packed right now, though, so it may be a little while, but stay with us. I think this is important because, again, how do you know where you're going if you don't know where you come from?
Absolutely.
And this history
we will
is
certainly do that.
As a matter of fact, I was talking about this yesterday at our baccalaureate, the importance of history. And this is just helping us to move forward, move the town of Princeville forward. Again, just thank you so much for what you're doing. Reach out to Dr. Knight and we'll stay in touch. Okay.
Sounds good. Do you all have any questions at all for us?
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, we will be in touch.
Okay, sounds good. And we thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Okay, next item on the agenda is Princeville Homecoming.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Turquoise, and I am a studying Africologist. If no one knows what Africology is, it's basically centering Africans of the diaspora on the continent and all over the world in history. During my studies there, I studied at the University of Ghana, where I studied linguistics and history. During my studies within that, I was a fellow at the NAACP. At the NAACP, I was a legislative fellow there underneath the Vice President Hillary Shelton, where I learned the value of cultural currency and also had a firsthand account of how some certain policies were very, very oppressive to communities of color, which brought me to Freedom.org. Freedom.org, where I am the Historic Cultural Preservations Director. Within that department there, we have the Princeville Homecoming, which is on the agenda this evening. The Princeville's Homecoming is basically solidifying cultural currency within the community and providing agency for those within the community to have a stake in that cultural currency. Through Princeville's Homecoming, of course, the community will be enriched economically. It gives people in the community a chance to sign up through vending, and they get to vend for free in this local area. Also within that, there is a series of tours by way of local farms who have partnered with us in a bike tour that happens within that through the partnerships with
I'll talk about my
Dr. Nelson. So I just want to introduce Dr. Nelson, and she'll explain that part of that through that partnership there. But that's all I wanted to say right now.
Most of you all know me. I'm Dr. Lisa Nelson Robinson. I'm a retired surgeon from Rocky Mount. I am a native New Yorker. Sorry. I came here in 2018 after talking to Mayor Bobby Darnell Jones and had this concept to bring cycling tourism as an economic boom to Princeville. And why Princeville? Because of everything that was said here today by every single person that was presenting. It's just amazing how the universe works. From Mayor Bobby talking about how we want everything that Princeville needs to be encompassed within the acres of Princeville, the self-sufficiency piece. From the team from ECU, and I was here when you came to collect oral histories, your team, when you presented, wanting to collect those oral histories in 2018, 2019. Talking about environmental racism and the impact of climate change and how it's going to impact this community. From the young lady that left and her aunt that was trying to figure out how to make her business work. What we are bringing is a vertically integrated event that is a movement, not just a cycling event. It is a mind shifter. And why it's Princeville? Because it is the oldest town chartered by Black Americans and no one knows it. It's a hidden history. So my nonprofit is called Triangle Bike Works, and we take young people on long distance, multi-state tours, 800 miles across the country, discovering hidden histories. So, for instance, last summer we went from Chapel Hill to St. Augustine's on the Gullah Geechee corridor. We've gone on the Trail of Tears. Next year, well, this summer actually, I'll be here working, but they will be traveling from Alabama to Chicago on the Northern Migration, the greatest refugee movement in this world of mass refugees from terrorism in our own country. And nobody understands, it's not even narrated in that way. So and I wish Miss Stanley had stayed on, because I would love to invite them to come and present the hidden history that they have found about Princeville when Freedom puts on the festival at Princeville Montessori. So in brief, we have partnered with Princeville Montessori Elementary School, Eastern Carolina Community College, and 5 Black-owned farms, legacy farms. A 5th-generation farm is our first rest stop. It's Julius Tillery's Black Cotton Farm. And Julius Tillery has a 5th-generation farm. His great-great-grandfather had that farm in the 1800s, and he's reimagined it and has gone from just the cotton. There's only 1% of Black farmers left, and we bought cotton to this country. But he has taken it from just producing cotton to from the farm to the fashion floor by partnering with Vans. That is a history and a legacy that needs to be promoted. And our riders are coming from everywhere from California, Houston, Chicago, Memphis, Ohio, New York, DC. And these people have money, and they have reach, and they have education, and they have influence. And they need to know about this place. And that's why they trademarked the name Princeville Homecoming. And that's why when we were going to do this before the pandemic, it was going to be, and we had talked about this and had a contract to have it at the park. The pandemic hit, we have to reboot. We're doing things a little differently. So I partnered with Edgecombe Community College because, and if you recall, but you won't, my mindset is when you see somebody doing something that works, emulate them. One of the largest century rides in this country is called the Seagull Century. It's held in Salisbury, Maryland, out of Salisbury University. It's a fundraiser for them. Registration fees are $100, and they get 15,000 riders in one day. That's $1.5 million. Every hotel sells out the day after the ride in the whole area, all the way to Ocean City, Maryland. Every restaurant is booked for a 50-mile radius. Now, I know that's just one event, but when you talk about springboarding heritage tourism in a region, this is a way, not the only way, a way to do it. And so our intent is to vertically integrate this always, to utilize the name that freedom.org has trademarked because of the history of this place, and to partner with whoever sees this as a possibility for power. So I would invite the team from ECU to come and present your piece about environmental racism and its impacts. And what are we going to do with climate change? And where are we going? And what questions should we ask? I would love it if you guys would have a display. East Carolina Community College is running a business of farming seminar on Friday when our people come to put They offered to do that. Okay. Our farm, one of our farmers has already partnered and gone to the Princeville Elementary School that had STEM programming at Princeville Montessori. So there's so many ways that this can provide value to the citizens, not just through the economic empowerment and not just through the exposure of the history where people at Rocky Mount don't even know. The young lady didn't even know. She had to look it up. People came to me on our social media and said, how is it that I'm 60 and I never knew this? People would try to argue with me and say, it's not Princeville to Eatonville. I said, do your research before you come at me because I do mine. And so we have an opportunity here to, Calvin said he was a journalist and didn't like to have to report bad news. Princeville's always in the news about resilience and flooding and negative. But you have people that bought their own freedom and became principals. That is the story that I want to put out about Princeville. And if I can do it on the back of a bike, then that's how we're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nelson.
So I just want to kind of follow up, and so this program is stored in our historical cultural preservation department. We have 3 different ones. And so this program actually touches on all 3. We also do community economic development. And so that also, the vertical integration, it checks that sheet there too. And we also have our agriculture department. So all of our departments and our organization as a whole has been strategically planned and developed based on the needs of the region in Princeville, North Carolina, because that is dear and true to my heart. And the reason why I stood up and I did the public comments versus talking more about freedom is I want everybody in this room to understand that I am not a freedom organization. I am a part of it. But I am a citizen of Princeville, and I will always advocate for Princeville and everything that we need to do here. And as Mr. Kelvin said, I don't like to always talk about the negative things, but Mayor Jones, one of the things that you first ran on was transparency. And those are the things. And I was with you when you ran back in, 2016, right after Matthew? We sat, we had tons of conversations, went door to door. Miss Jordan, we have had countless conversations as well. My mindset and the things that I said have not changed. If you go to our website, you can see our programs that we're putting in place for yourself. So the reason all of this today is not by coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that things coincide. And so everybody here today is there is a way that we can connect, and we will connect to make this thing happen and bring it together. We don't need. We have our own CDC right here. We're here. And so we're asking. I know that again, sometimes people look at me because I do call things out as I should as a citizen of this community, and then they use it against our organization. But if you look at our program and you look at the history and you look at the things that we've done, our actions speak for itself. Not the words, not any of those things. Every single thing that we have done and continue to do in Princeville, we do bring it to the board. We do let the board know about it, even if the board doesn't agree with it or be a part of it. And we will continue to do those things. And we look forward to coming back to talk about more programs. And this is just one that we hope that you can continue to get behind, support. We've already asked Mayor Jones to come out and speak. We love to have our other commissioners come out and speak. And if you have any other people that you feel that we need to partner with, please do that. In terms of our youth, we're going to have our youth out there. We're already working on a film camp. We have a documentary that also talks about this stuff. It's called Freedom Hill documentary. If you look that up, it's already sold out twice in its first premiere, and it will be showing for the community. We've worked with Justin Cook, and he's done a ton of work as well. And so hopefully connect you with him if you haven't already spoken to him. And so that is what we do. As a collegiate coach, it is my job, and I have been taught all of my life how to collaborate and work as a team. And that is who I am, and that's what I want to continue to do here, because there's no one organization that can come in Princeville and make it happen. It is going to have to be a collaborative effort, and we all bring our resources together and unite and make this thing happen. So I look forward to it. Any questions that you all have? I know there may be some questions. I know Dr. Nelson has some other technical things about the bike tour and ordinance and things like that we can also answer for you all as well.
Let me just say really quick, in terms of safety issues, I have already emailed and spoken with I'm sorry, Sheriff Clee. He's actually riding in the ride. Um, the chief of police for Tarboro, Scotland Neck, and Enfield, which is the route that the Century, the 100-mile bike ride will run through. There's a 66-mile bike ride that will run through Princeville, Tarboro, Enfield, Whitakers, and back to Princeville. And then there's a 40-mile straight out of Tarboro, Princeville, Tarboro to Whitakers and back. So the police departments are all appraised of the route. They have the route map, and they are all fine with us riding the roads. And so whatever other safety issues you have, I'd be happy to answer. We are going to be parking at Edgecombe Community College, so we will not be clogging the streets of Princeville. If people want to be dropped off at the school, they understand they cannot park in Princeville. You can drop folks off and then ride out to the farms. There's farm tours that non-cyclists can do on that day. The day before, there's camping, there's horseback riding, there's kayaking, all Black-owned businesses. There are brunches on Sunday. There are events that Freedom is going to put on Saturday at the school. We have gotten approval from the school board to use the school grounds. And so all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted as we can see, and we are here to see if there's any concerns that you have.
Any questions from the board? Thank you, Dr. Nelson, Ms. Dickens, freedom.org. Questions, comments, concerns?
I got a question for Dr. Nelson.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Franklin County Film Festival coming up this weekend?
No.
Okay, I'm going to be meeting with some investors there.
Okay.
And I'd like to team up with you. I'm very familiar with you. We just never got a chance to sit down to connect. But
there's some commissioners that have my personal phone number, and you can be one of them.
Okay.
Anyone here that wants to talk to me about connecting and collaborating around this project and blowing this up, we are right off of I-95. We are right on a major we are 2 hours from the beach. There is no reason that Princeville should not become, once again, the Black Wall Street.
Mega land, Mecca, yes.
It is. And I told you guys this when I came before, that all we need is to be collaborating. Every single person that came to me, because I'll admit, pre-pandemic, I had it in my head, I got to do all so myself. This time I was like, I'm not going to do none of this by myself. I literally told my guy, I said, if I had to do it by myself, I'm not doing it. They called me. The farmers called me. Somebody called me and told me there's a Black-owned horse ranch. This gentleman, his mission is from the pavement to the pasture. He uses horses the way we use kids to the way we use bikes to inspire kids and build that human capital. So anybody who wants to partner with me, the universe already got it. You just let me know. I'll give you my phone number.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with it.
And Professor Moisey?
Moisey.
Yeah, I got a question for you regarding oil sands deposit. Are you familiar with this at all?
In a general way, yes.
Okay, I'd like to talk to you later on about that because there's some remnants within this county that I'd like to share with you.
Any other questions for freedom.org?
I don't have a question. Again, I just have a comment that I like to make. I just sometimes like to make sure that when we leave here, we're all on the same page.
Yes.
That's just my position, and I believe it's the consensus of the board. Just want to go ahead and kill an elephant. This is okay. Mm-hmm. We have nothing against your doing this Princeville parade in Princeville. If you're going to call it Princeville parade, it has to be done in Princeville. We have always been of the position that it is our position to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed. That's what our positions are. Mm-hmm. Just want to be real clear because transparency is the best way.
Yes.
I've talked with Marquetta many times, and she and I have threatened to sit down and talk together many times, but it just has not transpired. Mm-hmm. We welcome the Princeville parade. We want to make sure that everything is done decently and in order. Mm-hmm. We have nothing against it. Anything anybody do to promote Princeville, we certainly want to be a part of it. Anything that anyone can do to make sure that, because it sounds to me like tonight that everybody's on pretty much on the same page. Everybody wants to see Princeville be what it should be. And I know for a fact that the only way that that can happen is, first of all, it has to start with Princeville. And we do appreciate partnership. I've said that many times because there are certain areas that we just don't have the expertise. And that's when you reach out to other people. Understand that very well. So we welcome that. Let me speak for myself, and if the other commissioners want to speak for themselves, but I believe I'm speaking for the board and for the mayor. We welcome the homecoming parade as long as everything is done, and if we need to take this offline, I guess, and make sure that we have that done. Dr. Nelson, Marquetta, and the other young lady, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Turquoise.
Turquoise. My position is let's do it.
We appreciate that, and our intent was always to let you all know once all the items were in place. I don't walk into the operating room until I know I have all my instruments laid out, the blood work is checked, and the patient's history is solid. So I'm not going to come to you half-baked. And I want to make sure that if I'm going to post it up at the school, because I had talked to DJ about using his spot. Didn't connect, the school was a better fit. Who do I go to? School board has to approve it. The school board approved it last week. Here we are. Talked to ECU, talked to Greg McLeod. He said, come on. Met with his team. They offered to do so once all the pieces were in place and we knew exactly how it was going to go down, then I come to you with a completed project and say, this is it. This is the concerns that we saw. We have addressed them. What else can we do to make you feel like we are going to make this thing win? I will tell you the cyclists will ride through Princeville, stopping at the church and get a history from Freedom.org there. They will stop at the cemetery and they will stop at Shiloh Landing and hopefully take a picture in front of the mobile museum. And then they will be out of Princeville before 10 o'clock. So in terms of traffic, disrupting the citizens' lives, blocking anything, that is even taken care of. So, and when they come back, they'll be coming back. Nobody rides 100 miles altogether. They'll be dragging back August heat. But I'm just saying. So I need to know from you we've read the ordinance because true, when I first came to y'all didn't even have that ordinance, right? The ordinance about special events. That was in 2018, that was not there. So we read that, and none of what we're doing is going to be impacting. None of our food trucks are going to be on the street, none of that. And so we need to know from you, what else are your concerns? Because DOT does not require you to do anything but consult with local law enforcement because a bike is a vehicle, just like you would drive a car through a town. So let us know if either privately, I can send out a mass email just surprising you with the schedule, and then you all can email me back if there's any concerns, and we can go from there.
So, Dr. Knight, you have anything that we need to know about?
No, I think it'll be important, Dr. Lisa, is to kind of, you said that the route had been taken care of, is to kind of share with the board, maybe, I don't know whether this needs to be done offline, but how has that been taken care of? Because it's in that ordinance, the festival ordinance, it depends on how many are coming through and whether traffic would be congested because of the route. But anything that you can share from that perspective, I think would be very helpful with us supporting what the town will need to do so that we can make sure everyone is safe when everyone is coming through at that particular time or whatever route you're planning to take.
Oh yeah, that's no problem because it's a straight out 258.
Okay.
So yeah.
Going back to your comment, Ms. Joyner, about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room for me is exactly what Mr. Atkins has been talking about. I am not personnel. I should not be discussed in meetings that I heard with my own ears online, right? That's number one. Number two, like when you say dotting your I's and crossing your T's, our nonprofit is the only nonprofit who has been asked to bring in our documentations to show that we are a 501c3 exempt organization. The only that I know about, and I've been watching these meetings since 2018. And that's another thing, right? My interactions have not been pleasant with your appointed officials. And I have brought that to you all in documentation behind closed doors because I did not want to be the person to stand on this podium and talk negative about a community that I have publicly exalted and praised since the time I've been back here and working in this community, starting over at the administrative building with the North Carolina Coastal Dynamic Design Lab. Our organization then was also highlighted working with them, right? I mentioned this to a school. This is also in COGS on COGS website. I mentioned this to a school where your appointed officials were. I come back the next week, that documentation is taken down. So there have been a number of things that I have documented to show and to prove to you all to take a look into things. Because again, my background, and I've told you my expertise, my background suggests and shows otherwise. And it's not just I'm feeling these things, it's actually documented. And so when you're talking about things that are documented and people want to come back and sue, that is important. And it bothers me to my core that if it was anybody else being treated this way, what would they do? If they're not from this community, they ain't coming back here. I'm from here, so you can't get rid of me. Freedom doesn't necessarily have to be here as a business and an organization because of the strife and the things that we have been dealing with. Quite honestly, our general counsel has actually told us we need to back off on some of these things based on the documentation that we have had in terms of business. That is highly concerning for me. And this is coming from a general counsel who understands and knows municipality. I don't want to sue my town. You know who's going to foot that bill? My family. I want to get it right. I've also heard that it's come back to the board that I said that I don't have to come to you all about anything. No, I don't have to go to your town manager about community programming. I come to you as my board, as elected officials about community programming. And I have. From the things that we've done in the cemetery to the things that we wanted to do with our youth, even in the midst of COVID, without even asking a question of how it's going to be done, what are the safety procedures and those type of things, it's been shut down. So what it leads me to believe that behind closed doors, some things are being fed to you all that are not true and accurate. And you have my number. So any questions and concerns that you have, I shouldn't be getting a cease and desist about a trademark event. And what I meant by that is if you understand and you know municipality and how it operates and how it moves, you can't trademark Princeville. You cannot trademark the name Princeville. There's a Princeville, Hawaii. We have gone through everything legally to do the things and to take care of the things that we need to do. I am professional. I'm 36 years old. I am not the 17-year-old young girl who left here in 2003. So I understand that you have to do things and that you want to cross your T's and dot your I's. I ask that you start that within your own administration first before we try to do those things with citizens. Do you understand how disappointing that was to get a cease and desist from my town? When I do this stuff for free, it's heartbreaking. It's discouraging. And I didn't want to come here and talk about these things tonight. I wanted to talk about the future and the things that we have moving forward. But if you know me, I'm an athlete. And so I'm built forward tough. And when you push me, I'm going to push back. That's what I know. That's who I am. And the reason I'm pushing back is because the goals that we set from day one with you, Mayor Jones, you were here then. Commissioner Joyner, you were here then as well. You were the two, and also Mr. Bullock. We didn't get to talk to you as much. I remember meeting you at Shallow Landing. We talked then. I don't know if you remember who I am.
Yes, I do.
So you've been around as well.
Yes.
And so my passion is also the thing, and we know this as Black women. When we're passionate about something, sometimes we get labeled. And it hurts coming from our own community. But the thing about me, I've been in corporate America for a long time, so I'm used to this. But I should never get used to this coming from my own community.
Yep.
And it's unacceptable, and it needs to be discussed. And I'm more than willing to have this conversation behind closed doors, but I'm tired of having it behind closed doors. It is public, and it needs to be public. That's how you hold people accountable, and that's how you be transparent. Because at the end of the day, if you all fail, we fail. We as citizens, we're entrusting you to do the things that you know are morally correct, number one, and that you all hold people accountable. One of the things I suggest, look at all the turnover that's happening. Where is the evaluation process of why people are leaving so much? Is there an evaluation process in place? When you talk about corporate and professionalism and those type of things, is that in place? As a citizen, I'm concerned and want to know why people are leaving the way that they're leaving. Is there an evaluation process? Like for me, like the elephant in the room, there's a lot. There's a lot. And I didn't want to do this in front of these precious guests tonight. But here we are. And at some point, it has to be discussed.
Miss Stanley, you Miss Perkins, Miss Maggie Perkins' grandbaby, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm a historian. One of the most unusual you'll ever run into.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of reading where I get migraine headaches and stuff. But there's a letter known as the Willie Lynch letter.
Yes, sir.
Some of us don't even believe it exists, but we are the living proof of the results of that psychological damage. And until we redress both entities, black and white, mainly the blacks, because we are the damaged component of that letter, but we can turn this thing completely around because we didn't get this far all by ourselves. There were some abolitionists of all colors that participated in the freedom of this village that was established in 1865. And I'd love to share that with you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And let me
Other
just
questions,
touch bases again with one thing. As far the only challenge that the board experienced in regard to the parade for this year was when we started being told about it, and you guys had not come back to us. We heard about it. People were saying we're coming to Princeville for the parade. Yes, prior to the COVID, we did have the conversations. We were prepared for it. But when the people started coming back to us after that saying,
could I respectfully ask why not just pick up the phone and call me? I mean, there was no adversarial when the festival was canceled because of COVID. From my end, there was no adversarial anything, even though Andrew Delano had you guys pull the contract that you wrote with me. But why not just call? So it's a rhetorical question. I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why. And I mentioned it to the mayor, and he said go through the proper channels. And for me, that meant when you come correct with all your information, all your data, and all your partners in line. I don't walk into stuff half blind, but I get the position you got put in because it seemed like things were being done behind your back. But all I can tell you, I'm from New York, so what you see is what you get. Okay, I'm from the Bronx. So if I want to be a jerk, you'll have no question in your mind when you deal with me that I'm being a jerk. But I never came at you all sideways. I always came fully transparent. Every month I was here, bit by bit, letting you know what I was going to do. There was no reason for you to suspect otherwise. You could just call me. That's all you had to do, not find a lawyer to write a cease and desist. So going forward, I pray that you take me at my word when I say Commissioner Myrick has my number, Bobby Darnell has my number, Commissioner Bullock will have my number. Ms. Jordan, if you want my number, you have a question, call me, and I will be as upfront with you as I am every day of the week. It's how I made my practice. It's how I got through 30 plus years of practice in surgery and never got sued. Because when I know it, you'll know it. But if I come to you with a bunch of I don't knows, I keep my mouth shut. So when I knew everything was lined up, we alpha to present. And that's all. And I understand the misunderstanding. Personally, I don't have all this background stuff, don't care about it. I just go forward. And I want to go forward on the right foot with everybody in this room. And I pray that we can get there.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Other questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question. When is this event scheduled for?
The first weekend in August, August 5th through 7th.
August
And
5th.
we are on social media as the Black Farm Tour Princeville Homecoming. There's two Facebook pages. It's the Black Farm Tour Princeville Homecoming is the current one. The original one was just Princeville Homecoming, but pinned at the top is the link to the Black Farm Tour Princeville Homecoming. And you will see on our website, which is princevillehomecoming.com, a beautiful history of Princeville. Everything about this is positive for Princeville. There's nothing negative anywhere on any of our social media. So this is like Vegas to me. This family drama is just like when you throw cornbread at the funeral. That's all it is to me. I understand there's a long history, but for me, for my little short history with you all, that's all I got. Is that I'm looking forward to August 5th for people to come from all over this country and read about the history that Miss Stanley has found and say, well, why isn't there anything here? And hear from Eastern Carolina, the geology department. This is what these people built on a swampland, and this is what's going to happen to the rest of the planet as if we let climate change go. The flooding that you experience here and the decimation that you see here is coming for the rest of us. So what are we going to do different if you don't care about Princeville? I mean, these are the stories we can tell.
I have two other questions. You mentioned stopping at a church. Would that church be Mount Zion, or will it be another?
It's the Abraham Wooten.
Mount Zion.
That's it.
Mount Zion.
And as a matter of fact, Felton Wooten is one of our partner farmers.
Oh, awesome.
And he came to me.
Okay. Awesome. And the last question is, the mayor and I would like for our picture to go up on your website. Who do we send our pictures to? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Look,
kidding.
If we can have a kumbaya right in front of that plaque right there, you will be on the website. So be careful what you ask for.
You want to open up the event in prayer on that Saturday?
I would love all the commissioners to come and say something. Dennis Harvey is gonna have horses. Sheriff Clee is gonna have his motorcycles. It's gonna be, and he's doing a bike rodeo for the young people at the school. So once again, you want to get the young people. We've got horses, we got bikes, we got kayaks, we got camping, we got bonfire. That young lady with the restaurant, if she wants to cater. I will give you my contact phone number.
Miss Tracy will then be able to event for free.
Yeah. Okay. Any other concerns? That's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
you.
Yes.
Right.
Next item on the agenda is Juneteenth. Mr. Robert Andrews.
You're a young man.
You know, I work all the time, man. You know, 24/7. I mean, a lot of y'all already know me. I go by the name of Robert Andrews. 115 Commercial Road. Can you hear me?
No, you don't. You don't go by Robert.
Oh, okay, I go by DJ Crump, aka Mr. Showtime. Hey, you putting me in the club, huh?
Poo poo.
But yeah, go by Pooh. I got about 25 names. Hey man, like I'm just like Marquetta, man. I've been around here for a long, long time. I'm not. Well, you can say I'm originally from Princeville. My grandma grew up on 402 Beasley Street. So I went to Princeville Elementary. Learned how to play t-ball, all that good old stuff. Had a good time at Princeville. But hey man, I'm just like Marquetta, man. I just want to bring something new to the community. And I was trying to put together this parade. We're trying to put together this Juneteenth parade. Just like everyone else is on board. I done went from the fire department to all the local churches, except the ones that I reached out to that hit me back. We don't put everything together. In 1 week, in 2 weeks, we got over 40 vendors already ready to set up at my spot. So we just want to run the parade, try to get some of the town, the whole town in we're trying to get the whole town involved. We want to get the whole town involved from whatever program that you have, whatever that you got going on. We just want to see it. 'Cause as everyone say, I heard everybody in this room tonight. Everybody got a story from Princeville, and it's like we represent Rocky Mount Juneteenth Princeville. Why? And I always wondered that, why we represent Rocky Mount Juneteenth Princeville when they say Princeville is one of the oldest black towns. So why don't you start here and make your own Juneteenth Princeville? You know what I'm saying? You one of the oldest black towns and you don't have nothing on Juneteenth. The store, I mean, the roads, no parades, no nothing. And I've been wondering about that for about a year or two now. And then, like I said, the COVID hit. Miss Dr. Nelson, I apologize. When we was talking, you know, I got sick. You already know what I'm saying? And then I was short staffed at my restaurant. So you already know how it goes. So, you know what I'm saying? So I do apologize about that. Marquetta, me and her talked on numerous occasions about things. Even when she was having her situation, she reached out to me. I told her she need me. My door was open. But you know what I'm saying? She made it through. So you know what I'm saying? At any given time, I'm here to help anyone at any given time. I don't mind helping no one. But at the same time, we like Mr. Atkins said, um, he don't want to get no negative news. This is the time now to get some positive news. So you know what I'm saying? Let him write something on Princeville. Hey, first Juneteenth. Hey, first parade. You know what I'm saying? So let him write some positive news. So that way other people that don't even know, a lot of people don't even know Princeville is one of the oldest black towns. A lot of people around here, I mean, within the last 2 months, I'm just being honest, within the last 2 months, reaching out to a lot of people, they said, what? They know more about Cinco de Mayo than Juneteenth. So, you know what I'm saying? So why not put your own town on and just bring something to it? I got over 200. I got over like right now. I got like over. I'm gonna say at least 50 cars that want to be from car clubs that want to be in it. I got black business that's from they own their own trucks, own their own party buses. Everything that's ready. They're just waiting on me to get them the okay so we can know what to do. I reached out. They said I had to come to the meeting. So I reached out and they told me that I had to get, approved for the parade. So I just want to know what I had to, I'm in the same boat as Dr. Nelson. I just want to know what I have to do so we can make Juneteenth, June the 18th. This is when we're trying to do it, June the 18th of this year. We're trying to know what we have to do to put this parade in place so we can I got over 30 little kids that's what I'm saying, willing to be in the front of the parade, you know what I'm saying? They want to hold a Juneteenth signs because, I do a lot of giving back to this community. For the last 10 years, I went from the park to my own establishment. In the last 4 years, I put an event center here. I put a full restaurant here. I got over 80%, over 80% of my clients come from Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Greenville. You know what I'm saying? I'm bringing a lot of people into the town that really don't even never heard of Princeville. You know what I'm saying? I have events. I have people all over. My hometown, they represent me. God knows they do. They stick behind me. But I'm just saying, so if you bring something into the town, people will come. But you got to give them something to come to the town too.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? And I see this just with my own business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest with you. My business increased so much that I quit my 9 to 5. I don't even I ain't work my 9 to 5 in 2 years. So you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying. So if you continue to grow and use everybody that's helping y'all or use everything that you have that's right here in your face, I promise you, man, you can have a lot of revenue coming through this town, man. So the time is now. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, was this a gift to have all of us in this room tonight, but the time is now. The time has changed. Like I said, man, to see my grandma raise us, and I went from street to street, house to house. We all communicated. You know what I'm saying? If one go out, all the kids was over this house. So, they got to get that unity back in the community. So, you know what I'm saying? So I really want to put this Juneteenth program together, the festival. Like they said, I talked to Dr. Knight. She said that COVID testing was still going on at the apart. So we're gonna do the first festival at my buildings, 115 Commercial Road. But like I said, man, for to see the people share it on Facebook and for to see the people that reached out that's not from the town of Princeville. So it's only right that we have the town of Princeville supporting the movement as well. So I just bring it to you to see what I have to do, to see what else. Do you have any questions for me? I mean, we got everything written up from the registration forms to I don't know, whatever you need from me, man, I'm here. I want to put it in place. I want to continue to work with the community. I give back every year. I do a tour drive. Me and Todd Gully linked up last year and done a tour drive together. Um, I do a back to school. I do a summertime block party for the kids, and and we do a food drive. So I do all this in the town of Princeville within the last 10 years, and I do it all out of my pocket. I never ask nobody for nothing. And now everything that I do, I have presented to everyone. Have I ever seen some of y'all? No. But I have presented everything that I do, that man sitting right there in the middle. That man sitting right there in the middle. I give him letters. I always shoot him texts, everything. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see everybody start connecting more. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if we putting in this hard effort to bring something to your town, it's like, be there. You know what I'm saying? Be there so people can see, hey, they working together as a whole. They working together as a family. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like at the tour drive. I wanted to see some of y'all. I know some people said some things came up, and I respect that, but stuff like that, man, it's in your community. You know what I'm saying? If we giving back and we doing it out of our pocket, at least be there. So I don't take pictures. I don't like to take pictures, but I love to see my community take pictures. You know what I'm saying? I have 30 events and won't take not one picture because it's not about me. It's about giving back to the community, and it's all about the community and showing the happiness in the town of Princeville. And I do this because of the strength of all the kids that don't show me love and got me to the place where I'm at, and all the people in the community that don't show me love and got me to the place where I'm at. So I just like to give back, and I just like to see everything as a whole. And actually, this Juneteenth program, I would love to see next year that the town is more affiliated in and keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Not just True Vegas Event Center.
Yeah.
It can be the town of Princeville present the second annual Juneteenth. You know what I'm saying? So, because let me ask one question. How many people in the Rocky Mount Juneteenth program?
How many people what?
In the Rocky Mount Juneteenth program.
You mean
How many?
All of us have been invited.
That's what I'm saying. So we put the effort to go there. Let's put the effort to do one here. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, if you're inviting there, out of all these years, we one of the oldest community, man. I feel like it's time, man. And I'm just saying, like, I just feel like it's time for change. I just want to present it. I would love to see everybody in here get together. Let's have a good time. Let's make this one good day. Like I said, man, for everybody that stepped in, we got a lot of people who want to come into town for this day. I just want to make it one good day. Y'all just let me know what I got to do. And that's basically about it. I'm gonna cut it short, man, because everybody else don't say everything. I just want to see everybody come together as a whole. I want to get some positive. I heard Mr. Atkinson. I want to get some positive information out here in the street. You know, Marquita, I want to see her keep doing her thing. I'm proud of you. You've been doing it for a long time. Dr. Nelson, you came to me. We always had conversation, you know what I'm saying, even though the situation I got myself in, but you know what I'm saying, hey man, I just feel like there's a lot of positive vibe in this room, man. And now is the time to take that positive vibe and just run with it.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Andrews?
No, can we take up a collection plate for him?
I need it all, sir.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Mr. Andrews, for what you're doing. Let me apologize because from a personal standpoint, I never go anywhere unless I'm personally invited. And to my recollection, I've never been personally invited to your event. Is that right?
Now you never been personally invited, but the information been out there. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you haven't personally been invited, it's hard for me to personally invite a lot of people with everything that I do. So that's why I put it out there. But at the
Okay.
same time, everyone is I know mostly everyone is personally with my page. So you know what I'm saying. So if a lot of people can know what I'm serving for lunch, I know they can know when I have events. So you know what I'm saying? I just want to see I just want to get together. I ain't knocking no one. I just want to get together just like me and Mr. Meyer used to do when I was doing it at the park. He used to come out there and help with the back to school program. He used to help me cook and everything. I just want to get everybody together, man. So June 18th, I would love to see my mayor out there. I would love to see you hit the stage. I would love to see you say a word or two. I would love, you know what I'm saying, do a two-step, do a dance. I would love to see some of the black history out there. You know what I'm saying? Anything. I just want to keep it going. I just feel
Okay.
like Princeville, one of the oldest towns, so I just feel like it's time to make a change, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I just feel like it's time to make a change, and the change is now. I mean,
Okay.
you know, ain't
Well,
no one getting younger, everyone getting older, and I feel like it's time. The time is now.
okay. Well, let me tell you right now, I plan to be there.
My man.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Andrews?
I don't have any questions, but I think it's outstanding that you've taken the step that you've taken to make sure that we do celebrate Juneteenth, which is a holiday, a major holiday that I 100% support. Hats off to you for being the initiator of it, and I will be supporting it.
Appreciate it. Like I said, the only reason that I done it, like now if you look at it, no offense or nothing, but you see a lot of black owners of a lot of black things now and a lot of black business like really stepping up. So, and you know, we got a lot of black business around here that a lot of people don't even know about. So I just feel like it's a time, you know, these black businesses show themselves, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like I got up every morning, 2 hours early, get to work 8 hours, 9 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? If I took that same time and I put that same time in my business so everyone can elevate. So that's why I said it's time now. So everyone can show themselves and show what they got. Whatever type of organization that you have, it's time to show it. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move to our department reports. Any questions on the finance? Questions on public works? How are we coming with the new public works director, Dr. Knight?
We, Mayor, we have not started interviewing. We do have a few applications. We've been preoccupied with other urgent matters, and so I'm not in a rush. I'm not operating off desperation, so we will get that in a timely manner.
Okay. How's that young man that was in the accident?
He's recovering.
Okay. Is he at home?
He is.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Historic preservation coordinator, questions? Senior Center. I have one question for the board. I got a call yesterday asking if we were renting the senior center out yet, and I informed them that we have a problem with the elevator. But if they don't need the elevator, can we rent it out now?
That's our decision.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Wouldn't put anybody in jeopardy with it. Any hurt, harm, danger?
No, Mayor, they just could not utilize the elevator.
Okay, it's Miss Sheba Andrews. I'll have her give you a call tomorrow.
Okay. And you want to make sure, Mayor, that you have staff coverage. That was one of the areas, making sure that there's someone that is available in the event of an emergency and that we have staff to be there for opening and closing. So we'll
Okay.
coordinate that behind the scenes.
Okay, it's not until I think it's next month,
Okay.
but if nobody's there because she's cooking, I'll be there. Okay, Edgecombe County Sheriff's report. Okay, Princeville Volunteer Fire Department. Okay, Town Manager's report, Senior Center.
And so you received your email from Ms. Bernie from Bernie and Bernie Construction as it relates to the sub pump, the failing of the last testing that was done for the sub pump. Mayor, thank you very much for your clarifying question. What is next? And so, according to a conversation with the construction administrator through Oakley Collier, they will have to go back to the design team and see how they can maximize the resources and outcome from the design team with coming up with the optional design for that sub pump so that it can increase the success of passing the next test with the DO's Department of Labor.
And who is the design team?
Oakley Collier.
Okay, and what's the timeline?
I'm not sure. I spoke with Frankie today, the construction administrator, and it's on their calendar to start the design, but that we could not set a timeline. They are aware of the urgency and the time that the senior center has not been in operation. So we're hoping that they will prioritize this matter on their calendar.
Okay, other questions on the Senior Center?
Yes, I have one. There was no major damage from the overflow of the water or anything, was it? Where they have to go back and do any repair?
No, it just failed.
Okay.
Others? Okay, the museum.
Hold up
I'm
before
sorry.
you go to before you move to the museum, Mayor. Ms. Tate did put in her monthly report with the proposal to reopen the center for operation and programming with the senior citizens starting on the 30th, Monday through Friday from 9 to 3 o'clock p.m.
Okay. And they're just going to use the lower deck?
Actually, the upper deck, the facility.
In E, she's got the lower deck.
Excuse me?
In E, she got highlighted in yellow the lower deck.
That was before we found out, I consulted with the construction administrator that the entire facility can be utilized. You just cannot use the elevator.
Okay, can they walk up the stairs?
Yeah, or the ramp. You know, we had the Christmas fellowship and also recently the orientation. We had over 25 participants that did well utilizing the ramp.
Okay, sounds good. I'm sorry, I skipped Heritage Park number 2.
No, I paused you to give that elaboration on the senior center.
Okay.
Heritage Park. So we're still waiting for to see if we can secure some funds for Heritage Park as it relates to the farmers market with the construction. And update with Conservation Trust of North Carolina, they will not be able to do the walking trail because of the type of substance that need to be used for the walking trail, that it would have to be concrete. And so they are now going back to clearing the community gardens for the youth and actually the heritage trail and any other tree planting that they can do in the community as they work towards the stormwater management. And so we're back to the drawing board with Wooten and Associates for engineering and Oakley Collier so that we can, just come up with a design, even if it's a smaller facility on a pad that can be extended for the farmers market. I think it's important for us to move forward with those revised plans and also in a conversation with our historic preservation coordinator. We were also proposing to start a mini farmers market right at Heritage Park starting in June, the second and fourth Saturday in June from 10 to 2. In that way, the grants that Kelsey is pursuing, at least we would have already started that service in the community, and it will enhance those grants that she is pursuing for agriculture. So, and she will oversee it. It'll fall right under her duties and responsibilities. And so we want to also present that on this evening with a possible application fee, minimal $10 in comparison to all the surrounding farmers markets and their application fee.
I know we have Edgecombe Community College, they have an agriculture program. Are we consulting with them as well?
We have consulted with Dr. McLeod, and we're doing some coordinating there. But in the interim, we would like to move forward with the mini farmers market for Heritage Park starting in June. Just a one-page application, and just replicating what our surrounding organizations and the county is doing with their farmers market. We have all of the information, and we can, not reinvent the wheel. We just want to replicate. What the other communities are doing.
Inside or outside?
Outside. We have no room for inside.
Okay. Other questions about the park?
Dr. Knight, how much longer will the COVID team be at the park?
They have not indicated, but if it's up to the board whether or not we need to shorten that stay so that we can maximize the use of Heritage Park, that would be great. The testing has decreased because now people have home tests that they're doing, and the numbers are up and down. So they have not given a timeline or deadline that they will conclude services at Heritage Park. Let me, excuse me, this is Captain Williams. He might be saying something urgent. I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second.
Hey, Mayor.
Yes.
Do we need to go ahead and vote she come back so we can go ahead and get this June 18th day out of the way?
No, I think do we have to vote on that? I think it's done. I thought.
Well, I think officially we should vote, most likely, shouldn't we?
I guess we just need to find out from Dr. Knight. I believe you've been talking with Dr. Knight in regard to what you need to do to make it happen.
Most things where I was starting from and where we ended up at, and it's gonna kind of share, riding, blocking out the road. And everything.
Have you done the application process already too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dr. Knight, is everything taken care?
I've met with Andrews twice and gave him the specific details to include the application and what he needed to do. And he was supposed to bring information back that I haven't received. So, and I know that it's in June, but one of the most critical matters is we need to have a clear understanding of the parade route so that we can coordinate that with Sheriff Atkinson and his team to ensure that he has the coverage for the event. So those are very critical because June 18th is here now. And so it would be very critical that we get that detailed information so that we can coordinate behind the scenes to make sure that it's safe and to increase the success. So
because I had already, because after you told me, I told you the route, we went and printed up everything on where we was gonna start at, lined up, we wanted to start. Actually, you tell me that the testing was still going on, because that's what we originally wanted to happen. So we said we'll do the first one, we just rotate it and leave from the Harris Park all the way back to the line station for the first one. You know what I'm saying? And then maybe next year, COVID out here.
Is someone speaking?
Utilize it.
Yeah.
Also, I had to give that to you.
Yeah, it would be, yeah, that's okay. Did she?
No, sorry we had to go back to that. We'll go ahead and just clear this up so we can get it out of the way.
So, all right, start on. Which part you missed, Mayor?
I didn't hear you at all.
You didn't hear nothing. So basically the route that we was trying to take, we was trying to leave from is it Harrison Park? Yeah, we trying to leave from Harrison Park all the way back to 115 Commercial Road, which is True Vegas Event Center. You know what I'm saying? Our goal next year, hopefully that, you know what I'm saying, we can be able to leave from True Vegas Event Center and go to Harrison Park or however, but that was the traffic that was the route of the that was the traffic route of the parade that we was trying to present for the Juneteenth 18th. I mean for the Juneteenth, which is June 18th.
You going Neville or Maine?
We wanted to go Maine.
Okay.
We wanted to go what's that, Mutual Boulevard?
Mutual.
Mutual Boulevard down Maine leading to 115 Commercial Road.
Okay. Ridgewood Road or the next one?
Say that again, sir.
From Main Street, you turn that first right across the railroad to Ridgewood.
115 Commercial Road. We're gonna leave y'all with the 115 Commercial Road.
Okay. Okay. That's past what's that? The old S&J.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So now you just need the application, and that's part of the application, right?
Yeah, and I would also need to coordinate that with Sheriff Atkinson to ensure that there's proper coverage on that particular day, because we don't know what else is going on in Edgecombe County that might preoccupy his deputies. So we want to make sure, as I mentioned to Andrews, that it's coordinated through Sheriff Atkinson, and I was waiting for those results. So I'm glad that you have them. If you can give me that in writing, what that route is, so first thing in the morning, considering the time sensitivity, that I can coordinate that, or we can coordinate that with Sheriff Atkinson, and make sure that you get your application in, and if the board wants to waiver the fee, or however the board wants to handle the fee that's associated with the permitting.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we accept that based on getting necessary paperwork and coordinate it.
A second.
Been probably moved in second that we approve Mr. Andrews' Juneteenth application. Upon we receiving the application, we will.
Yeah, I have it back tomorrow. It started raining, so I ran out of the house because I didn't want to be late for the meeting, and I left it. You know, so I'll have it back tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Mayor, I guess I should have indicated, being that he's I think his Juneteenth is a great idea. But being that he's a family member, I should have recused myself from this vote. It's a great idea. But like any other family members, I don't vote on anything when it comes to family. His grandmother is my grandmother's niece.
Okay.
Okay, you ain't getting no money out of this, are you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's amend the motion to add the waiver of the application fee. Is that doable, everybody?
So move.
Is that second?
Second.
Been properly moved in second that we approve the Juneteenth application with waiver of the application fee, contingent upon the return of the application tomorrow. Are there questions?
And not just a contingency on that as well, Mayor, it's contingency on Sheriff Atkinson coordination with his deputies, because you would need that in order to block off the areas of that particular route.
Well, we can approve it, but if the sheriff can't provide anybody, then of course it can't go through, right?
I want to make sure that's included with that contingency as well as that waiver.
Okay. Somebody make that motion again for me.
I would like to make necessary motion upon the application process with the contingency of coordinating with Sheriff Atkinson that the necessary paperwork and stuff is taken care of.
Okay.
Second.
Been properly moving second that we approve Mr. Andrews' application once contingent upon the return of the application with the waiver of the fee, contingent upon Sheriff Knight being able to provide coverage on the 18th.
Atkinson.
What'd I say?
Night.
Oh Lord.
Time for you to go to
You
bed.
sleepy?
Hey, you took it way back, huh? You took it 6 years back.
I wish he was still here.
All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much, Mr. Andrews. Let's get it in so we can go over there.
ASAP.
All right. Okay. Museums.
And also, Mayor, just moving forward, according to our ordinance, when a member recused himself, the board would vote for that recusal to make it official. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
The museum. And so, as per my manager's report on Friday, we're still in preparing for the appeal process for the museum. We are coordinated with Oakley Collier. They are addressing a few clarifying questions as it relates to the scope of work for the museum so that we can get out of the category of upgrading that would be at the total expense of the town, but to have FEMA dollars obligated for pre-disaster return for the museum. And so we are still coordinating with Oakley Collier so that we can appeal this process and be back before FEMA within that 60-day process. And the 60 days end on the 30th. And so Oakley promised to have their questions Q&A back to us on Monday.
Okay. Plenty of time before the 30th.
That's correct.
Okay. Questions on the museum? Okay. CBDR.
Mayor, I do have a question about the mobile museum. Did we ever confirm or provide information to the town that wanted to have the mobile museum at their festival?
Yeah, we did. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Kelsey and I did draft up an agreement, a temporary agreement for the town, and we have not heard back as of today. But that is something that we need to revisit and bring back to the board in June. But to get that in front of them, we just kind of used the last draft that our last attorney started working on, and it was incomplete, so we just completed that process, and we'll bring it back before the board in June.
Okay.
And when do they want the museum, mobile museum?
For the Juneteenth on the 18th.
And that's Morrisville?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next item, CBDR in our grant.
Mayor, I do want to go back to the 88 acres because we still have Attorney Derwin Jones here that he needs to hear from the board on your decision with the resolution that would grant them an opportunity to move forward with the scope of work and the request for qualifications for architectural and engineering.
Let me see if I can pull that up.
Was there a certain paper that was submitted to us?
The
on that?
resolution.
Resolution.
The draft. It's on that.
I didn't see that. Let me see.
I'm going to read it to you. Princeville redevelopment of Highway 111, 88 acres parcel. Summary of critical objectives and recommended new disaster recovery grant. October the 1st, 2021 update. Draft critical objective number 1 in 2022, start construction of new resilient houses outside of the floodplain, which can expand and improve the town's tax base and provide alternative housing for flooded properties in the town core impacted by Hurricane Matthew and previous storms. 2, maximize the potential of town-acquired 88 acres parcel located off of Highway 111, which can support approximately 150 new flood resilient housing units. 3, construct and start phase 1 site development to install roads, water and utility infrastructure to support 25 single-family buildable lots that are part of the Highway 111 parcel. Additional infrastructure installation to fully build out and develop remaining portions of the track would occur in future phases. Number 4, provide tangible disaster recovery benefits and outcomes. Given the use of state disaster recovery funds, both OSBM and the town must ensure a clear nexus to disaster recovery objectives and flood mitigation. To do this over a 2 to 3 year build out of phase 1 25 lot project, the town, along with state agency partners, would have to ensure one of the following objectives are obtained. A, that a disaster impacted families relocate to a new phase 1 neighborhood developed parcel. To do this, the relocating family or owner would have a FEMA IA number or documentation or compelling statement describing how they were impacted by Hurricane Matthew, and or B, that for each new buildable lot that is constructed, that an adequate documentation is attained which shows that for each lot which is brought online, that it can offset a flood mitigation property buyout or acquisition of homes in other areas of town or local community limits. Grant award structure to realize critical objectives. In order to ensure realization of critical objectives and recovery purposes of the state grant, a new and separate grant agreement would be needed to be reviewed and approved with the town. The Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments could enter into a subsequent grant award with the town, be a sub-grantee, or the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government could directly contract with OSBM in a separate agreement. The town of Princeville, key town roles and responsibilities, procurement approval through a collaborative process. The town or its designated agents, e.g. Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government staff, will review and revise all procurement solicitations, vendor proposals, cost proposals, and related contract agreements. Through its membership on a procurement award panel, the town or its agents have the right to approve all selected project contractors involved in design and construction phases of the project. B, land use policy approval. The town would use existing authority to approve all recommended site plans and phase 1 subdivision approvals and related land use authorization. C, regulatory review. The town or Edgecombe County, which, when applicable, will review and approve site plans, zoning designations, permit requests, and related entitlements to ensure consistency with the town's vision and desired land improvement. D, other, to be developed after feedback from the town. The Office of State Budget and Management, key roles and responsibilities. Collaborative procurement panel assistance. OSBM will participate in preparing contractor solicitation documents along with the town and Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government. After securing town approval and selected vendors, OSBM will provide contract vendor oversight. B, provide immediate response to town or Upper Coastal Plain identified issues. OSBM agrees to immediate same-day response to town or Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government performance concerns of selected vendors mobilized on site if unsafe, non-code compliant, or related to problems take place during site work and construction phases of the project. If the selected vendor continues to provide unacceptable performance or site management issues that are identified by the town, OSBM will execute appropriate contract penalty provisions as authorized by law. C, provide vendor cash management, accounts payable, and project accounting services. OSBM will review and process vendor payments, applications for payments. OSBM will perform accounts payable, accounts receivable, and related back office functions for the project. OSBM will allow the town or Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government to review vendor payment requests in a concurrent fashion to ensure satisfaction with vendor performance. Draft project budget, project per lot cost, $56,555. Construction contingency price escalation is 8% or $113,011. Let me back up. The 2021 estimated cost for Princeville 25 lots subdivision, $1,413,883. Engineering site plan contract of 10%, $141,388. Construction contingency price escalation 8% or $113,111. Cost to construct 2 pilot project homes for disaster impacted family, $206,679 per unit. Estimated for 25 subdivision, 25 lot subdivision, $413,358. Upper Coastal Plain Council of Government support 75,000. Princeville subtotal $2,156,740. Note, to develop this per parcel unit cost, OSBM used a 2019 infrastructure contract cost from Linden, Meadows, and Wilmington, North Carolina to increase those costs by 20%. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Mayor, may I interject for a brief
Yes,
second?
sir.
Owen Jones from OSBM again. This afternoon,
Yes, sir.
we did send over a draft of resolution that goes along with the framework that you just read. And that draft that you read was circulated, I believe, on Saturday. So if I may approach, I have an updated copy with along with the resolution.
Do I have that copy, Dr. Knight?
I don't think so, Mayor. So probably if we can send it to him. Mayor, yes, Ms. Allison is about to scan it to you, Mayor. And in the interim, with your permission, Mayor Pro Tem can start it off, but I think Ms. Allison will get it to you in a timely manner.
Just let Mayor Pro Tem read it. I'm tired of reading now.
I think Jessica.
Thank you, sir.
And while she's reading, I want to congratulate Mr. Roslin on his promotion. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Thumbs up.
The action item is on the second page of the resolution. The recitals are mostly on the first page.
Okay.
It's entitled Resolution of the Princeville Town Board of Commissioners authorizing development framework for 88 acres plus or minus South Shallow Farm Road property.
Okay. Whereas the town of Princeville, hereinafter town, North Carolina, has a rich history as the oldest community established by African Americans in the United States and incorporated in 1885. And whereas on October the 8th and 9th, 2016, Hurricane Matthew damaged approximately 470 single-family homes and 299 rental units in the town, and from 2010 to 2020, the town's population declined by 40%, and its available housing units declined by 25%, with Hurricane Matthew being a major contributing factor in these declines. And whereas the federal disaster recovery projects in the town have provided many families with much needed assistance, but some of that assistance included the buyouts of 11 homes, and approximately 300 other properties have been identified for buyouts. And now, therefore, the objective for this framework is to prevent further population and housing declines. The town has an immediate unmet housing recovery need to replace the housing lost to Hurricane Matthew and may be lost through federal voluntary buyout programs. And whereas for the purposes of economic development and expansion of the tax base to reverse the foregoing trends and disaster impacts caused by Hurricane Matthew, the town on May 28, 2020 purchased 3 tracts of undeveloped property located near the intersection of Greenwood Boulevard and South Shallow Farm Road, more specifically known as Tracts 1, parcel identification number 4748 404388, Tract 3, pin 4747490259, and Tract 4, pin 4747387652 of the Carolyn L. Pig subdivision, totaling 88.80 acres, hereinafter the 88-acre property. And whereas the 88-acre property features prominently in the town's adopted comprehensive plan, which calls for the development of the 88-acre site as a mix of residential uses, focusing primarily on single-family homes and a limited amount of attached residential units with parks and green space as amenities as potential secondary uses of parts of the subject parcels. And whereas the town has recently annexed and zoned the 8 acre property for residential development, making it ready for further design and development. And whereas the 88-acre property needs roads, water, and sewer and other infrastructure if it is to meet its full potential for development. And whereas the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management Disaster Recovery Section desires to assist the town in developing the 88-acre property and will provide disaster recovery funds allocated to OSBM DR to the town for the purposes of developing a first phase project of up to 25 lots for single family homes along with the necessary infrastructure. And whereas the town is authorized to enter into development agreements for development and land improvement projects within its jurisdiction pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes, sections 160D-1001 et sec, development agreements, or enter into agreements for developing affordable housing or the replacement of property lost to disasters pursuant to sections 160D-1316, 166A-19.1, 19.15E, and F1 pursuant to section 160D-502. The town is also authorized to accept grants or funds to further the functions of the town. And now, therefore, the town Board of Commissioners resolves that the town Board of Commissioners hereby approves: 1, the attached framework for phase 1 residential development of up to 25 building lots on the town's 88-acre property residential, hereinafter the framework, funded and overseen by the state of North Carolina through its Office of State Budget and Management Disaster Recovery Section. 2, authorizes the town manager to execute any agreement consistent with the framework. And 3, authorizes the town manager to take such actions to carry out or support the objectives, roles, and responsibilities for in the framework.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got questions.
Go ahead.
So the original buyout, we ended up with 22. Is that correct?
18.
18. And then there was an additional 11.
I think the numbers I have, that 11 have been, this is what's reported to emergency management. There probably are additional buyouts, but that's what's reflected. And I think they may have updated that information, I think, this afternoon.
Okay. And the 300 other homes for potential buyouts, is that correct?
That's in NCOR's CDBG-DR mitigation program in the disaster risk reduction areas for North Princeville and South Princeville. There are about 300 properties. I don't know the number of applications, but that's the universe of properties that are in those disaster risk reduction areas.
Are these lived in or vacant? Any idea?
They're under the mitigation program. It could be commercial, vacant lots. It could be lived in, any type of residential structure. I think that program is a little bit more is broader than the FEMA hazard mitigation buyout program. But again, it's voluntary. It's subject to applications. But that's the area that NCOR has defined that you can find on their website.
Okay. Other questions? What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we make accept correction. I make a motion that we accept the necessary resolution that they go ahead and proceed on this with the development.
A second.
Been properly moved and second that we approve the resolution. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, residents of Princeville, and we look forward for our successful project and working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry you had to stay so late.
Safe travels back.
Thank you, Commissioner Meyer. Me too. Okay. CBDGDRNR grant.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This was the grant, Mayor, that you sent via email, and Kelsey and I did have an opportunity to have a conference with Tyrants from Upper Coastal Plains just to find out a little bit more about this opportunity. And it is a community development block grant, CDBGDR and NR, this time for the neighborhood revitalization for low-income households, units of owner occupancy, and it's capped at $750,000. So we can anticipate maybe 3 or 4 replacements with this particular grant. We're waiting for Tyrants to send us over a sample bylaws to establish a selection committee and also an application sample. And I think this would be really good for where we are with recovery. And so we will stay tuned for that additional information from Tyrants. And to my understanding, the deadline could possibly be October.
Okay. Thank you so much. Questions? Okay. Seppi, Haven.
Yeah, and so, Mayor, very good question again. I put your questions into the hands of your colleagues, the Board of Commissioners. So we submitted our the board's approval for the phase 3 of the paving. And it was at that time that the response from NCOR was that those funds could be used for payroll. So we went back to the application and provided a response to NCOR. We're just waiting to hear back from them. According to line 3A, with the recipient agreement before and during the terms of disaster-related expenses, and also 3C, having the flexibility after 9 months to go back and make the necessary adjustments to this agreement. So we're hoping that they will respond favorably so that we can move forward with that approval from the board for phase 3 of paving and stormwater management.
Okay. Questions? Okay. Old business. Our retreat is on Saturday. Retreat is on Saturday. Was it 9 to 5?
Yeah, registration starts at 8:30 a.m. And so, yes, we'll start off with 9 o'clock with Dr. Carlson from UNC School of Government. We'll go into with the county manager at 10 o'clock a.m. 11 o'clock, we'll go into the proposed budget for 2022-2023. We'll have lunch. And then we'll go into the Chief Brown so that we can share his budget for the fiscal year and any support that he needs from the town. And we'll conclude with our recovery projects, and also we'll get an update from Kelsey and our Senior Center Director. And that will conclude your retreat. And so the ARP person could not attend, so she will be before the board in June with any types of updates to support the board in obligating those funds for ARP.
I'm so sorry, Commissioner Bullock can't make it there on Saturday. Hope you're well. If you have any comments, suggestions, or for us, please let Dr. Knight know before you leave.
Tonight or
Okay?
Saturday?
Saturday. Well,
Before
before you
Saturday.
leave,
Before
get
Saturday.
her information before Saturday, if you have anything.
Well,
Okay?
I have a meeting on Saturday with some people up in Lewisburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
I'll be bringing you all a report on that too. It's concerning Princeville's future.
Okay. Next item of planning board.
Mayor, this is in accordance to the ordinance that you previously noted. We need one recommendation from the board to fill that planning board vacancy. I did speak with Sanders, and he desires to stay on the board. So you'll have Sanders and Kelsey Dew needing one recommendation from the board, and two will come from the county.
Repeat that again. Let me write it down.
We need one recommendation from the board, and two will come from the county. You will have two remaining seats to occupy for the planning board, and that'll be Kelsey Dew and Kenneth Sanders. I did speak with him, and he so desired to remain in his position. And so it would only require one recommendation from the board, and two will come from the county with the ETJ.
Any recommendations?
I make a recommendation for Janelle Bell Suggs.
Where she stay? What's her address?
It's on. Don't. She's in Ward
She's
2.
on Otis.
I know she's in Ward 2. I don't have the address right here.
She's on Otis at the intersection of Otis and Second.
Ward 2.
Yes.
Mama's in the wheelchair.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second that we add Janelle Bell Suggs to our planning board. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next item on the agenda is Community Youth
Can I
Summit.
ask a question, Mayor?
Yes.
Dr. Knight, when would they be trained?
So we're hoping that training will transpire in July, as the recommendation will come from the county in June. So we're hoping to get them in and trained in July. And I do want to bring to your attention, I did send this to you all as it relates to the planning board. This is a correspondence that's dated March 15, 2018 at 1:17 from your former clerk, asking for appointments for the 2014 board that never transpired. So that's why it was so critical that we align with our ordinance to get this updated. And from this point moving forward, we will continue to align with the ordinance with the considerations of a dates of appointment.
Can you send that to me, please?
I did. It's already been sent to the board. I sent this to y'all 3 months ago via email through my manager's report.
Can I get a copy of that, please?
Okay. Anything else on the planning board?
No, that's it, Mayor.
Okay. Community Youth Summit.
So, Mayor, we are planning for a community youth summit. The goal is to unite all businesses, faith-based organizations within the community for a community-wide youth summit. And the date of anticipation is June 23rd. So if you can look at your schedules to see whether or not you'll be available on June the 25th. Is it 18th or 25th? I think we said the 18th. June 18th. So if you can look at your schedule for June 18th, and this would look like partnering with law enforcement, DSS, any businesses, Edgecombe Community College, skill building, mental health organizations in the entire community, community-wide. We will have different skill building, different resources, different workshops, different trainings to enhance the youth in this community and within Edgecombe County, all meeting back at a central location, which will be Heritage Park. So we'll be looking for donations, we'll be looking for partnerships, and we've already started to have some unofficial discussions and brainstorming how that entire day can look from 9 until 3 p.m. on that Saturday.
You said
The
June 18th?
June 8th, July, what am I, is it June?
June 18th to
July?
June 10th.
July 23rd, sorry.
Okay.
I know I'm still stuck on June 18th. July 23rd. Thank you.
Okay. July 23rd.
Yeah,
All right.
and so we're re-engaging the Youth Advisory Board so that this can be one of their first official projects. And some of the young people who have departed from the community that are now college students will also be a part of this process.
Dr. Knight, did we ever get in contact with Miss Suggs?
I think that Kelsey, if you gave her that information, she should be making contact if she hasn't already made contact.
Okay, thank you.
And anybody else that you know of that would be ideal or interested in being a part of the Youth Advisory Board, we welcome them wholeheartedly.
Okay. Next item, waiver.
Yes. I think when we had the senior orientation, and I talked to the seniors because several of them had a misconception about the waiver as far as the riding of the van or not to ride the van based on insurance policies. There was a lot of confusion with the seniors' understanding of that waiver that they signed, and some didn't sign it because they didn't quite understand it. I talked to our former attorney, and she gave me a somewhat of a wasn't a different point of view, but it was more. It was a more clarified one, and I gave that information to the seniors at their orientation. A lot of them appreciated it because they really thought that they would have to use their own personal insurance. They didn't understand the reason that they would have to sign something that would say you can or you can't ride the van. So my suggestion is that we submit another letter that's clear, another waiver rather, that is much more clear so that they can understand it, and then have the other. We would need to have that the other one held on to until we get another one in place that they can sign. I thought it was a bit confusing. Wording was quite harsh. I think that we need to handle our seniors very delicately and make sure that they don't feel like they are being pushed aside for no reason at all.
I agree.
Let me make a recommendation that we wait until we get an attorney on, because they're going to have to come up with the right one if we disagree with what we already have. That's the only thing I'm going to be binding in court.
Dr. Knight, do you know if the center director is planning anything with the use of the van?
Not at this time. Not for the month of June. I think they have one engagement, but it wouldn't require the van. But I would have to trust but verify that to be the case. But right now, the seniors that are registered for the program have signed the waiver. And so, and I know as you stated, there are some that have not registered for the program because of the waiver. So,
Other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. New business. Waste Industries contract agreement.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, you have the updated Waste Industries fiscal year 2022-2023 updated agreement with the increase since our last agreement that was signed.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Is
This
it the
was signed
same?
last year, right?
This is for, it's always 3 years, and this is up until June 30th of 2024, and the
Okay,
terms in section 7.
okay. Questions?
So what are we looking at now? Based on the fact is June the 30th through 2024, so 23. So what, we renewed it in 2020?
Every 3 years.
So
This was 21
yeah, but
last July.
July
Yeah.
2021. 1, 2, 3. So what is being changed?
Okay. That we're renewing the contract for the next 3 years, ending in June 30th of 2024.
July the 20, July the 21st. So that's next year.
2024.
Year after next.
Yeah.
So why is this before us then? What I'm saying.
It's a renewal of the agreement. This one is about to expire. So it's a renewal for an additional 3 years, period ending in June 30th for 2024.
So 3 years, June the 24th. This is 2022. So it is 2022, and it said 3 years ending in June 30, 2024. I don't see why it's before. I mean, unless you can. I mean, I'm lost. Apparently,
No, no.
2022,
I
and
agree with you.
the
I don't see it either because we signed it last year for 3 years.
July the 1st, 2021, when it was signed, and the 3 year section 6 term, it states an addition 3 year period in June the 30, 2024.
So, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, the last agreement that you signed is up for expiration. The next agreement, the reason why this is before you is because it will expire. We're asking for an additional, Waste Industries, GFL is asking for an additional 3 years of consideration if you so desire the deliverables of their service, and it will end in June 30th of 2024. So your current, the last agreement that you signed on 7/1/2021 is due for expiration. And the next agreement that you sign will be for an additional 3 years that would be up until June 30th of 2024, period ending of this next contract.
Well, if that's the case, he needed to forward over some additional paperwork to substantiate the extension from that date to the following date. That don't make sense. If you got July the
So
1st,
if you read on your contract, Commissioner Mark, look under section 7. It says 7/1/2021, 7/1/2022, 7/1/2023. And so that's the time frame that would be covered for your additional 3 years of service. If you want to elaborate, Ms. Alice.
I still don't see why.
Let Ms. Alice elaborate.
On that contract.
Up to the mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
Last year for the fiscal year 7/21 ending 6/30/2022, the rate was 16.92 per unit. For this upcoming fiscal year 7/1/2022 ending 6/30/2023, the rate will be 17.25 per unit. And then the third year, which will be fiscal year 7/1/2023 through 6/30/2024, the rate would be 17.58. But it looks like, in my opinion, what we're focusing on is this upcoming fiscal year, 7/1/2022 to 6/30/2023.
the rate being 17.25.
Well, and I understand all that language, but still, in the same token, if he want the contract to be renewed and we have to sign off on again, we need official paperwork stating that this contract will be amended and added so that we can make attachment with this paper. Now, I seen this stuff happen in the court system all the time. Even a judge would ask for additional paperwork to be attached to an amendment or a other copy of anything with any date.
This is the agreement, Mayor and Board of Commissioners, that you've signed every year. This is, as you see, the signatures took place on this same form. And so as Ms. Alice has stepped out for you, this is the details of the agreement that you sign every updated renewal. So it's nothing any different than you've done in the past and as recent as July 1st of 2021. Everything is clearly stepped out in this agreement that you have consistently signed, as Ms. Alice has stepped out for you all.
Even if that's
Yeah,
the case, we need paperwork.
This needs the
What I'm
paperwork,
saying
sir.
though is,
This already been signed. With the additional paperwork, what I'm saying.
but this has been signed, right?
Yes, this has been signed, and this is your update as of your last one as of July 1st of 2023 to June 30th of 2024. This is acknowledging that you are receiving this with your updated information per your agreement.
Okay, so what we signed in 2021, was that not for 3 years?
So in 2021, it was.
Okay, so why are we signing again this year? Because 2024 is not here yet.
You don't have to sign it. This is an acknowledgement saying that you understand the terms of your agreement will increase. And so if you see how they stepped it out in section 7 per 721, how much it was, 720, 2023, how much it was, 723 to 724, how much it will be. So this is acknowledging that you are clear on your agreement as of your signature in July of 1st of 2021.
Now that makes more sense of what you're saying now.
No, there are no changes, correct?
Only your fees.
Right.
After 7/1/22 to 6/30.
So when we signed it in July 1st, 2021, the fees were different?
The fees were as outlined. See with your signature, nothing changed from this form other than your fees. This is acknowledging that these years, these rates that you agreed to from 7/1 of 2021.
Right. So on this document that we signed, 2021, nothing has changed.
Nothing. But unless no, go ahead.
That would be correct, Mayor. If your signatures, this is what was sent over from Waste Industries, acknowledging what your agreement currently is, but also acknowledging that this concludes on June 30th of 2024.
Right. Which we knew already.
We hope that you did. Yes.
Okay. So nothing's changed.
So basically, we just need to adjust the line item for a significant increase. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? All right. Lumen.
Lumen is this updated service terms that they are officially transitioning everything from CenturyLink over to the official name of Lumen. We've been using CenturyLink over the past few years, and so now everything is official that any updated contracts or agreements that will be signed under the Lumen company.
So, in turn, I saw that email that the mayor sent. So, we're going to still have to wait on this other company that Tarber will have, correct?
Well, I'm not sure about waiting. The only thing that I've been tasked with is to get some additional information to share with the board. The board may opt to to go with this additional company or may opt to stay with Lumen. I'm not sure of the details. For the company out of Tarboro, I would have to wait to hear back from them and represent to the board in June. And we will also need to look very closely at our contract and when our contract concludes with Lumen so that we won't breach the contract and having to pay more additional dollars to get out of the contract. So all of those things are important elements to researching of the companies, and all of this will be back before you in June.
That's what we need to get that legal representation on board so we can start looking at stuff like that, because I do understand this part about the contract and what we sign up for in the agreement. And I don't know whether I recall it being a 90 days or not even at all. I cannot even recall, but this is a good piece to look at.
All right. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions on Lumen? Okay. Any board comments before we go to executive session? Any board comments?
I would like to make a few comments.
Okay.
I did not, because you moved so fast when it came down to the financial report, I did have quite a few questions and concern as well as that, but I'm going to let it ride so we can move on and get up out of here. And I was hoping that the town manager had at least got us some legal representation in here tonight from the local government commissioner. And also, I think we had a lot of positive information that was shared on tonight, and I think we need to just take this in consideration and move forward.
Amen to that. Anybody else? Okay, is there a motion to go into executive session, NCGS 143-318.11A16, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, or not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statute. NCGS 143-318.11A4, to discuss relating to the location or expansion of industries, agreements to own a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiations, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closure or realignment. 1, economic development. 2, personnel. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's probably moved in second that we go into executive session. Are there questions? All in favor, use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it. I'll see you on the other link.
Oh, tonight. You need this. You need one of these.
Yeah, please.